Good evening, chat. Hello. Welcome to the Thursday night show. I will start off with a very big point of information. Our power has been flickering and it's snowing like crazy outside. So the power might go down. The power might go down. And it's not won't be because of Nick. It won't be because of the deep state. It won't be because of the Israelis and Mossad. It won't be because of the Ukrainians. It's just going to be because it's snowing like crazy, and for some reason that's hurting the power system. I mean, we've had some pretty big flickers already, so just be ready. That may happen. I'm just warning you now. I'm warning you now, chat. All right. Well, anyways, welcome to the live show, everybody. My name's Sean, also known as Potentially Criminal. I am a defense attorney in the Cleveland, Ohio area, and this is the weekly show. We get to talk about criminal and not just even criminal, just law-related stuff that's happened throughout the week that I think is really important and things we should talk about. I mean, there's a lot to go over tonight. We got a lot of kind of runs the gamut of everything there, and I do think it's worth taking a look at. Stream from your phone, you nerd. I can't bring stuff up on my phone. Duh. Maddie says, do I need more money to pay my... Yeah. I need help with the light bill, chat. I need help with the light bill. Oh, yes, the weather... The HARP is activated, chat. HARP has been activated. All right. Well, anyway, guys, it's Thursday. Hope you've had a great week so far. I know it's been a long week. Been a long week, been a hard week. But it's Thursday, getting into the weekend. There's a lot going on. We're almost at Thanksgiving. We're a week away from Thanksgiving. And actually, I need to figure out, we're going to do a Thanksgiving show. Might be late at night. Might be a late Thanksgiving show. But we probably, well, hold on real quick. All right, yeah, we will be back. We will be doing a Thursday night show next week in honor of Thanksgiving and Pilgrim D-Day. So we will do that. It'll be a fun time for everybody. Remember, it's Thanksgiving. It's one of the best holidays of the year. Second best holiday after the 4th of July, which is number one. But yes, get ready for that chat that is coming. It's so weird that it's so late this year. Brian your bird. I've never done that before, but I can see how that works. Oh, Clyde's giving. That would be a lot of fun, chat. A Clyde's giving. We may do that we might dress Clyde up as a turkey. How about that, chat? That'll be fun if he can keep it on long enough. Oh, all right. Well, anyway, guys, welcome. If you guys are new, we try to give everybody a couple minutes to get into the show because YouTube is not the best about notifications. And I brought this up before, but if you want the best notifications, Twitch actually, based on my lovely producer's research, is the one that actually does do well with going live notices. And tonight we are live. We're on Rumble. We're on Twitch. We're on YouTube. And then last but not least, we're on Locals. Four of us on Locals. If you guys have never been to Locals, Locals is basically everything we wanted Patreon to be. So if you go to potentiallycriminal.locals.com, just like Patreon, you can join for free. You can post on the wall. There's always things going on. And then if you wish to support me, you can support me $3 a month. $10, I'm sorry, $3 a month. You pay for 10 months, you get 2 free. With that $3 a month, you get access to live shows. We do a live show every Wednesday, or we do a live show every Monday night. It goes for about 3 hours. Then we do a live show after this. And tonight will be a long one because we'll have some time. We get to hang out after the show. All the stuff you can't do on YouTube. So, for example, videos involving guns, or if we want to talk about this or that, or just things that aren't related to what we're talking about here, we will go over and we'll talk about them there. It's a really fun time. So I encourage you guys to join. If you want to use a promo code below, POTCRIM, you can get 1 month full access to everything and see if you like it. And I think you will. So like to see you guys there. And also during the shows, we have a live chat where you can post memes and say words and things I can't say on YouTube, and I'll chuckle and laugh at them. And if you happen to post something I can show, we'll go ahead and do that. Okay. So With that being said, what was the next thing I say? Oh, we got our show sponsors for tonight. Um, we got a couple sponsors, chat. First and foremost, we have the dragonstreasure.com, a haven for tea and anime lovers. Use the promo code criminal, you get 10% off all of your teas, soaps, and coffee. It's getting to the winter months, guys. Warm up with some coffee, warm up with some tea. I hope you're using soap all year long. So that has nothing to do with winter. So guys, use the promo code criminal, you get 10% off. And then our other sponsor is MAF Arms. So MAF-arms.com. That's MAF-arms.com, chat. Your premier wind chime dealer in Central Florida, run by Fudbusters, a friend of the show. And programming note, we'll probably have Matt on tomorrow because there's some new filings in his copyright lawsuit against Cody Wilson. So that should be fun going forward because Cody's retained a lolcow lawyer. So it should be a lot of fun. Anyways, use the promo code POCCRIM, 10% off all of your wind chime accessories. The best wind chimes, folks. The best wind chimes. Only the best. The biggest wind chimes. You guys will enjoy it there. And remember, if you order in the next 20 minutes, you order before 10 p.m., Matt will send you a lewd along with your invoice. He promised that. So, MAF-arms.com, folks. Then last but not least, and it didn't load. Okay, well, I guess we'll save it for next week. Last but not least, Stoney's Bar and Grill, located at 1580 East Broadway Street in Rockville, Minnesota. Stoney's your place to go to enjoy and unwind. Tonight, chat, it's Thursday, so that means $2 cans. I mean, what better way to be an American living in MAGA country other than to start cracking open $2 cans, having some road pops while you're out at Stoney's, chat. It's only $8.39 if you live out in Minnesota. You can make it there, although I don't know how bad the roads are. If it's snowing like it is here, don't hop on the motorcycle. Hop in your car. Make your way down to Stoney's. Enjoy yourself on the patio. A little bit of snow would make the Naked Twister a little slip and slidey, which, Aaron MCs every Tuesday. But enjoy yourself out there at Stoney's, chat. It is where things are great. And I don't know what their schedule is for next week, but we will get into that as far as things go forward. But take care of Stoney's out there. And yes, and the Steel Toe Morning Show says, Stoney's, another win for the Stone. Just not kidney stones. Oh, real quick, Whiskey77 says, won't a late show interrupt your third dinner? It's better to think of it as just like one big dinner, not third dinner. It's just one long dinner. Okay? That's how I look at it. Brad says, turkey peens for Clyde. I don't think turkeys have big peens. Like, the reason why they use the cow penises, the bull penises, is because they're huge. Turkey penises would be really small. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that's the other thing. Clyde doesn't like the bigger peens anyway because here's the problem with the bull peens. They're chew, like, it's like rawhide. You could chew on it. The problem is it looks kind of like a cinnamon stick. And if the dog keeps chewing on it, eventually they get to the end and they start chewing on that part, the last bit of it, and it chokes them and kills them. It has a tendency to do this. So to make things safer for the dogs, they make these little plastic things where you kind of like clamp onto the end of the peen. You're kind of giving it like its own bris. Again. And it's like basically a stop, so the dog doesn't eat the last bit of it and die. Well, 2.0 was like, well, Clyde loves the little ones. We'll get the bigger ones. Maybe they'll last longer. Clyde is scared of the big peens. They are too boku for Clyde. Clyde is not a size queen. He likes Clyde likes the little things. He's not a size king, chat. Oh, there we go. There was a flash of power. We went turkey, Sean. You might get that. Oh, okay. All right, chat. So let's see. Yeah, we are at the 10-minute mark. We got people here. Let's go. Let's do this. I guess we'll start with the thing you guys all want to talk about. Clyde felt shamed. How are you doing this to him? I'm just telling the truth, chat. We don't lie here. We don't lie here. Oh, and Maddie says there are Cleveland fans drinking at the Browns game tonight without shirts on. Yeah, that's Ohio man for you. That's Ohio man. All right. So I guess we'll start off with Nick's appeal. If you guys remember, chat, Nick had filed an appeal because before we get too far, guys, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, small law firm in central Minnesota, host to the Rekieta Law channel, which has never been about law, ended up getting busted for having 26 grams of cocaine in his house back in May of 2024. So this year. In addition to that, he got, they charged him with that. The fact he had firearms in the home. Well, you're not allowed to have firearms and illegal drugs in a house. Whether or not you agree with that or not, that is what the law currently is. And he was charged with that. He was also charged with having children in a home with a bunch of drugs as child endangering. Once again, you can agree or disagree, but that is currently the law. Now, the last two charges are misdemeanors. He faces up to a year in jail on those. The bigger charge is the 26 grams of cocaine, and he faces up to 25 years of prison on it. Now, would he ever get 25 years of prison? No. There's a lot of presumptions and a lot of statutory judicial interpretations that the worst case scenario he's looking at is some sort of probation sanction to begin with, and they would not send him to prison right away. So those of you who are worried about him going to prison, that's not going to happen. I've said that from the start. Those of you who are hoping he goes to prison, that's not going to happen. I've said it from the start. So Nick went through many things, and if you guys go back and watch through it, I need to re-update the Rekieta collection, my own curation of all my videos. Nick challenged the search warrant on the grounds of the police lied or were completely lied on completely erroneous information, which is something he could challenge under a Supreme Court ruling known as Franks v. Delaware. And that's set out, and you've heard it talked about the Franks hearing. Well, Nick filed his motions, and if you've paid attention, I critiqued them. They were absolute hot garbage. One of them was disorganized hot garbage, and the other one was very well organized and streamlined hot garbage. So what happened? Well, the court looked at all of it and said, nope, Nick, you lose. You're done. We're not having a Franks hearing. I don't believe the cops lied or relied improperly on any information. In addition to that, Nick then was also precluded from raising any other issues because I know Nick's saying he didn't do it, but as Nick has mentioned, apparently his lawyers aren't the best, which I don't know why you're still using them, but it's just me. They missed a bunch of other things they could have argued, and then they're now precluded from bringing those issues up. So what happened from there? Well, Nick filed an interlocutory appeal, and we covered the interlocutory appeal earlier when it got filed. An interlocutory appeal is basically asking a court of appeals to make a ruling on a trial court ruling mid-trial, midstream. So literally you're like trying to hit pause on your court case and have the Court of Appeals figure out what it wants to do. Now, those are discretionary. You're not entitled to them. Now, there are times where there are very good reasons for it. So a very good reason of that was the Trump v. United States case about presidential immunity. Issues of immunity are kind of a big deal because if you're immune, then the case dies right away. There are times where you have very novel issues, or there's an issue that was clearly wrong, something like that. There's going to be and then there's other times where the court has the ability, and even that it's discretionary. But those are more compelling cases. And Nick tried to make the argument, look, I've got a compelling argument. Well, the Court of Appeals offered its opinion, and they said, not so much, not so much. And we're going to take a look at that. I think this there's a lot. It's only 4 pages long, but it says so very much. It says so very much. And we're going to start with this. No, hold on, I got so many tabs here. All right, chat. So this is it. It's the state of Minnesota in the Court of Appeals. It's the Court of Appeals. So, you guys, the stream's good now. All right. If there's anything that happens, let me know in chat, and I'll try to figure it out. Okay. So this was filed November 19th, literally 2 days ago. And guys, honestly, the Laken Riley, the Laken Riley trial, where the guy clearly did it, was 100% more interesting than this is. So that's why we didn't get to it till now. I know some of you wanted me to go live, but it's just like, okay, wow, they took another L. I mean, it is impressive, the L they took here. Anyways, state of Minnesota versus Nick Rekieta. And this was decided by a couple different judges, by Judge Segal, Judge Wheelock, and Bentley. So they said, based on the file, record, and proceedings, and for the following reasons. And then they go through the basics. Nick's charged with second-degree drug possession, unlawful possession of a firearm, and child endangerment, based on evidence after a search warrant was executed at his house. And he talks about it. He moved to suppress the evidence and dismiss the charges under Franks v. Delaware. And they wanted to investigate whether the search warrant application contained material misrepresentations regarding the social media video. Once again, we're getting back to my watermark. Oh, apparently Clyde is out rolling in the snow. Oh, God, he might test positive for cocaine now. Oh, no. But yes, the watermark nonsense and, oi, me mate Cog, uploading the videos. I don't know if Cog's not my mate, but I don't know. I tried to do the British accent, chat. So anyway, the district court denied the motion for a Franks hearing, and the petitioner seeks discretionary review of the order denying the motion for a Franks hearing. Remember, it's discretionary. The court could say, yeah, we'll take it up, or they could say no. This is not an appeal of right. After the trial is over, and after a case is over, your criminal appeal is an appeal of right, meaning you have the right to file the appeal, and they have to take it under consideration. Now, they may end up saying your appeal is garbage, but by law and by constitutional right in many states, you have the right to appeal at that point. You don't normally have the right to appeal midstream. So the petitioner argues his court should grant discretionary review in the interest of justice because the Franks issue is important and doubtful, and resolution of the issue would obviate the need for further proceedings. Now, here's the big thing. The state has not filed a response. Now, normally, when these types of things, the state probably should have said, like, Your Honor, we don't file a response, we waive it. They didn't even bother to do that. They're just like, we don't give a shit. They read Nick's motion and were like, yeah, these guys are going to lose. They weren't even bothered to waste their time. They have other things to do. They had better things to do than respond. That's a sign, chat. That's a big sign. They're like, you know what? I know Nick was making jokes. Oh, Krista Pierce had to learn how to type. Well, buddy, she didn't even bother wasting time on this. She probably went and took a dump instead of wasting time responding to this. That would have been more productive. Because, oh boy, that's never a good sign when the state's like, yeah, I don't want to do this. This is a waste. This is a joke. I mean, you know what they could have done? They could have sent a response in and just went, the state's motion is LOL, bruh. That's what they could have done. I mean, if I was a prosecutor, this probably would have been appropriate. Lol. Now they point out, moving forward, acknowledging it's just Nick. So remember, now it's a one-sided argument. There's not even another side to argue with. The state's not there to shoot them down. It's almost like an open goal. The state was up there. They pulled their goalie. Chat. They didn't even bother to defend the net. And Nick and the Barneswalker, they got the puck. Time's running out. So the court points out criminal defendants don't generally have the right to file an appeal until final judgment has been entered. But the court may allow an appeal from an order that's not otherwise appealable in the interest of justice. And you see these rules here, Minnesota Rules of Criminal Procedure. Then you see them citing the Minnesota Rules of Civil Appellate Procedure. Guys, I didn't realize dark mode on here, but anyway. These rules are important. These rules govern how you file things, the way things have to be done, especially rules of appellate procedure here, chat. Those are very strictly construed for the most part. Criminal rules, yeah, you could even then you have to color within the lines. Courts generally adhere to them. And there's tons of case law that flesh out your criminal rules, but your appellate rules are also fleshed out very well with a lot of case law, and courts are very stringent about that. You don't get to fuck around and color outside the lines on appellate court. You are stuck following the appellate rules of procedure. Okay? So you're going to see why that's important and why I point that out. In determining whether to grant discretionary review, this court considers multiple factors that include whether the ruling is questionable. Like I said, is it clearly wrong? Or does it involve an unsettled area of the law? Meaning, is it a novel issue? We've never dealt with it before. So it might be kind of important. The importance of the legal issue presented. Once again, is it something like the president arguing whether or not he's immune? And whether the issue would evade review if the appeal is deferred until the underlying case has been decided. Now, that generally, you can preserve the appeal. That's a very rare thing there, but it can happen. So, discretionary review is only extended to important legal questions that have broad applicability. So, if there were, and I know Kurt had mentioned this, and it's a good example, there are like 15, 20, 25 other cases in Minnesota right now with this exact same issue. That's a big deal, because that means we're going to have to take care of it at some point. And it's probably going to be an appellate problem. You know what's easier? We take care of it now. Because it's probably going to keep coming up. But this is not one of them. This is not one of them. Let's see here. Sorry, Chad. I'm trying to catch up what you guys are commenting here. So let's keep going here. The petitioner must also show a compelling reason for his court to grant discretionary review. Now, the petitioner, and here's the issue. The petitioner does not explain why the district court's pretrial ruling denying the motion to suppress evidence and for a Franks hearing require this court's immediate review. They literally did, and I agree. They don't explain why. Why? You have to tell the court why. Like, why should you hear this? Why is this important? And notice, the Minnesota Rules of Civil Appellate Procedure. Okay? And it's requiring a statement why an immediate appeal is necessary and desirable. You didn't even follow the fucking assignments, chat. And here's the thing, they point out, Minnesota rules govern the procedure for an appeal. All right, so what does 105.2 say? You have to provide why you have to do this. It's like taking a test and not putting your name on it. It's kind of like step one. Why should we? Here's why this is important. Why is it necessary? That is a complete whiff. You fail step one. You get ready in the blocks, and all of a sudden, here comes the starting pistol, bang, and you just flat face down on the ground. You don't even move. Like, literally, just eating crap right off the bat. This is kind of like, and this is, I guarantee you, this is not a brand new rule. Not a brand new rule. But this is why you have to know what you're doing. If you don't follow the rules, the court's like, I can't fucking help you. I can't help you. Let's see here. They also point out, moreover, this court generally does not grant petitions for discretionary review of pretrial rulings because the defendant can utilize a procedure in Minnesota Criminal Rule 26.01, sub 4, which permits expedited review of a pretrial ruling that is dispositive or would make a contested trial unnecessary. So they had another vehicle. They had another option, another vehicle to do this. Why aren't they doing it? I don't even know if they can do it now. Maybe they've waived that opportunity by filing this. I don't know. I mean, as soon as this was filed, I hope Nick's attorneys are pouring over Rule 26.01 sub 4 and be like, can we do this? Because, like, Nick, too, I know he's out reading all those abstracts, but he needs to shift gears from reading, about chemistry and organic chemistry and whatever else he's been reading, getting back to the law. What can they do now? Because what do you do? I don't know what the option is. I don't know how this works out there, but I get the feeling it's not good, especially when you consider you have your pretrial hearing next week. So you better get on it. But they point out there are issues here. I mean, because Nick could go ahead and show why he shouldn't be required to proceed by stipulating the facts and waiving a jury trial to obtain review of the pretrial ruling. Yeah, well, there you go. That's part of the issue. I don't think Nick would agree to the facts and waive a jury trial to obtain review of the pretrial ruling. I mean, how confident are you, Nick? How confident are you? Just saying. Like, I don't know if you're that confident. But I don't even know if they could do this still at this point. It's not clear. And although review would be somewhat delayed by requiring petitioner to appeal from any final judgment, the pretrial ruling will not evade review. And a defendant's interest in avoiding the time and expense of trial does not by itself establish a compelling reason to extend discretionary review. Nick has not otherwise shown a compelling reason for this court to extend its discretionary appellate jurisdiction when the pretrial issues are fully reviewable in any appeal from any final judgment. Therefore, it is denied. Again. Although this court's nice, they kept it in lowercase and they didn't bold it, but like, denied by Susan L. Segal, Chief Judge. Yeah. So, that's why I didn't take the time to bother to do this. It's like, yawn. It is, Mr. Oh, so what's he going to do? I don't know. He's got his hearing next week, and it's man or mouse time, I guess. But I get it. Nick has complained about his lawyers, but it's like, shit. As Nick said before, he used the term walking malpractice factories. But I think I remember he said it to the attorneys who were actually doing a good job. And then the attorneys he's not saying are walking malpractice factories are just absolute garbage. Because remember, Nick said he doesn't do any of the motions. Okay, so you're telling me that, like, this is, you paid for all this? Buddy. Shit. I'll come join the Minnesota bar. I'll get you a better result than this. I'll do it for half the price. I just, my dude, like, really, what are we doing here? Also with the Nick updates, I know there's been basically Nick's facing like issues of unauthorized access of Aaron's Google information, Google accounts, and all that. Yeah, that was really fucking dumb. Don't fuck around in computer accounts that aren't yours. I mean, it's like if you went to Starbucks and somebody left a laptop open, would you go, well, it's open, I just can play with it? No, you wouldn't do that. That's basically what Nick did. Apparently, Aaron, from one of the early days of being over there, had used Google, because everything you do with YouTube and all that and StreamYard, all that stuff's linked through Google. It all activates. Well, apparently Aaron said, yeah, can I use it here? The computer, and Nick kept it logged on. And apparently Nick has been, hoovering up data. And that's because Patrick Melton from Nobody Likes Onions, which it's not a good joke because everybody likes onions. Like everybody. Started talking about all the things Nick had access to and Nick had seen. Which, once again, Chad, I tell you, don't take notes about committing crimes and don't talk about committing crimes. And if you're joking, don't joke about committing crimes. Because guess what? The police are going to take a notice of you. And then they might find out if you're committing real crimes in the process. Either way, we learned some things. Apparently, Nick has been surveilling communications, such as, apparently, according to Melton, once between me and Aaron. And if Melton is right that there was legal advice in there, Nick, you're surveilling people who are trying to establish some basic relationships there. Are you really sure the Minnesota bar wants to know you're surveilling attorney-client relationships? Something to think about. And because Aaron's probably talked to his attorney in Minnesota, I'm sure Minnesota doesn't want to know that some snake, and that's the type of person who would breach privileged communications. I mean, you'd have to be a slithering snake motherfucker. Like, just the most inscrutable, like, just insufferable snake slithering around piece of shit to surveil privileged communications that you're not supposed to. I mean, that's the kind of shit a bar will take your ticket for. But, I mean, what does privilege and confidence mean when you'll go out and blab about somebody's mental health crisis in the middle of a drunken rage? I mean, it shouldn't really shock anybody at that point. I'm just saying. But, yeah. As Wu-Tang said, protect your neck. Wu-Tang says protect your neck. I mean, especially because I know when you're out in the ghetto, you probably heard that song. Out in the hood of Houston. When you do rag on, I'm sure you heard that song. But yeah, protect your neck. Protect your neck. I'm just saying. I mean, like, because I confidence is important to me. Confidentiality is important to me. I've talked to you out there. I mean, so many of you have sent me emails and things like that and questions. I'll never reveal any of that. I never would in a million years. Now, if you send me an article like Jean, she sent me an article about Amber Guyger, the cop who murdered a guy in Houston. I'm going to give a hat tip to her on that one because I think that she probably would appreciate that. But like true questions, like you guys have reached out to me about all kinds of stuff. I'll never tell a soul. I'll take it all with me to the grave. It's not mine to give away. It's not currency I use to extort and fuck with people. That's how real confidence works. That's how real privilege works. So, Alex says, what if I send you articles about drug testing? Do I look like I understand science and math that well? There's a reason why I'm a lawyer and I'm not an engineer, okay? There's a reason. Okay? There's a reason why I didn't go take engineering class. And it's not because, it's because I was afraid of statics. But, like, there's no way I'd be able to do it. Like, here's how bad I am. I took chemistry, and I did pretty good in high school. I took chemistry as a freshman in college. We got through, like, the first day and a half, and I walked out of class. We covered everything I knew, and I was blown out of the water. I'm just like, yeah, I don't need this. I'm a political science major. Don't need it anyway. So I'm like, geology sounds pretty easy. So I took those instead. So no, don't send me anything. No, don't. You can try to tell me like you're 5, explain to me like I'm 5, ain't gonna work. And I'm being serious. Don't. No. Nepa. That was an impassioned snake. Well, I mean, hey, I'm just saying, it's, yeah. I'm just warning you. Send him the chromographs. I can't do anything about that. You picture me being an only child? I am not. Although my parents, if you ever ask them how many children they have, I'm sure a lot of days they would probably not count me in the total. Just, I am far from the overachiever in the family. I can tell you that much. Okay, he says we're getting a real deal of blizzard right now. Yeah, it's slowed down. So, but holy shit, we did get a lot of snow. All right, so I know there's a bunch of comments here. I need to answer some of these questions. Natclo says, why do you think Patrick Melton committed a crime? I'm not sure if he has yet, but certainly I would not go joking around that I've had access to unprivileged and possibly illegally obtained information because, well, now sounds like you might be involved as a conspirator because it sounds like him and Nick had a close relationship. I don't know if they do or not, but there's going to be subpoenas for all that information. When you run your mouth about having inside knowledge of it, they're going to say, well, maybe you have information, Melton. And they'll subpoena his records and information, and I'm sure he doesn't want that. So you never brag about doing dumb shit because you'll get noticed. Who would prosecute it? The state of Minnesota would prosecute it because Nevada doesn't care. He worked with a guy in Minnesota, and now they're fucking with a guy in Minnesota. So, yeah, not a good fucking idea. Now, will they go after him? Yeah, maybe not. But it's still not. Why would you want to put yourself in police investigation? Nobody's ever like, oh, that's so fun. The police are hoovering up my internet data and my Discord and my Gmail. Like, no, that's never a good thing. You don't ever want that. Don't ever tempt fate. Never tempt fate. Let's see here. Guys, and I'm going to answer some of the questions related to this, and then we're going to move on to the next thing here. Law Pope is teaching these courts a lesson. Yeah, they're teaching them. They're having to do their homework to say, oh my God, this is shitty. Clyde writes better motions. I bet he could. TJP says he never wanted a good lawyer. He just wanted a yes man to stroke his ego. Oh, I'm sure. And that's part of the problem is, a real attorney will sit you down and give you the hard truth. A real attorney is going to sit there and say, listen, buddy, here's the facts on the ground. Here's where we are. Here are the options. An attorney who just sits there and goes, yes, boss, I'll do it. Like, that's not a good attorney. You're not advocating. You're not counseling your client. Part of your job as an attorney is to give difficult answers, the answers they don't want to hear. I mean, that's what happens. Like, you might have to tell them, like, yeah, buddy, you're fucked. Not like, oh, you can't keep going to your client and saying, look, here's another way Hillary can still win. No, you're done sometimes. You're done. And I don't think that's happening here. And I think that's a tragedy for Nick. He's not getting good counsel. Mavka's right. How did Aaron compromise the Court of Appeals? You know what, though? Detective Pomplin and I, we drove down there after we planted all the cocaine. We drove down there, walked into the judge's office, and were like, listen, you guys, we like, here's the plan. And then we all sat down. I told them it, and they're all like, right on, fat man, right on. And then the one judge was like, hey, man, would you like to enjoy this, help me eat this sandwich? And I said, hell yeah, brother. So we sat there as a group just eating a sandwich together. It happened for real. And it really happened. It happened. TJP is saying, do you think he can go to some jail time if he makes him go to trial over this? Here's where that should never be the reason why anybody ever goes to trial or goes to jail. There are probably judges who do what's called the trial tax, meaning if you make them go to trial, they will jail you if you lose because you're wasting their time. That should never be a reason because that's your right. And you should never be punished for exercising your rights. Now, typically what happens is you pay what's called you're an asshole tax because going to trial, the court finds out everything. And the way I've explained this before is I had a client once. He was accused of a robbery. He got charged with robbery. He's on video with a gun. And he's pointing at people's faces and making them get down on the ground. And then at one point, he hits somebody with the gun and gives them a big cut on their head. We pled out, and we didn't talk about that part. We just said it was a robbery, and one of the people who was in the store when the robbery happened came in. Thankfully, it wasn't the guy who got his head split open. So the judge didn't hear about it. But if the judge had watched that video, my guy walking around going bap to a guy's head and pointing a gun at everybody, like everybody thinks they're about to get dusted, that would be really bad. And guess what's going to happen? The judge is going to bury you under the jail because they'll find out, oh my God, you're a fucking lunatic. Well, if the judge finds out everything that happened in the home, the judge might go, wow, Nick, you're a fucking dick, and I don't feel bad about this now. It's just how people are wired. You don't let them find out the whole story if you don't have to. It's just something to think about there. It's just something to think about there. Did you say dusted? Yeah, dusted, dusted, smoked, smoke checked, center punched, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. You guys have never heard that term before? I mean, heck, I've heard it before. I mean, it's not and that's not something I learned cool. I mean, I remember as a kid, one of the cops almost got into a shootout chasing a guy down. And I asked him later on when I was in high school, I was like, I heard about that. What happened? He's like, I came this close to dusting that dude. I'm like, I guess that's a way to phrase it. Oh. Coolboy 52 says, Melton loves Nick because he had a felony coke charge. Yeah, I heard about that. And if it was really if it was 50 bands worth of coke, that doesn't go away unless you talk about where you got 50 bands worth of coke. More importantly, he said your beard is weird. Is this actionable? No, and I mean it is weird. It just colors in the way it colors, man. I don't know. I mean, oh well. Now, what was the other thing here I was going to bring up? Robin saying this is a real defense attorney, Chad. He's familiar with the vernacular subhumans. Well, I've never heard any of my clients or anybody on the street talk about baptizing somebody for parlance of shooting someone in the head. I've heard that other places. Okay, so as far as he's in federal trouble, he's not in federal trouble, guys. Yeah, maybe in theory, maybe he violated the Computer Fraud Act, but they're not going to go after him. Do you know how much crap the U.S. Attorney's Office? Number one, they go for stuff that's really good and they can know they're going to win. Number two, they've got a ton of crap to deal with already. And then for doing something like this, you have to really either be somebody the feds want really, really bad, or two, you piss someone off politically. And he hasn't done either of those things. So, yes, theoretically, could the feds come after him? Yes, just like the feds could go after every felon who is caught in possession with a gun. Do they ever do that? No. It's not worth their time. So I'm just telling you guys, it's not going to happen. The feds are not. I don't see them getting involved. If they get involved, I will be happy to eat the crow on that one because that will be fucking hilarious. But that's not going to happen. Of the list of things that are going to happen, chat, this is number one on the list now of things that are not going to happen. Let's see here. Do you have any crow? I mean, I'll go find one. I'll go shoot one. You can kill them all the time here in Ohio. So I'll find a crow. I'll kill it and then we'll dress it and clean it and I'll fry it up. Also, fried crow. I'll make it look like chicken tendies. How about that? Most of Sean's street lingo he got from The Wire. I'm like, not really. I didn't see The Wire until after I was in law school. So I didn't see The Wire until like the year before I graduated law school. So probably 2013 into 14. And I was well into being an attorney before I finished watching it. So she was a while. Did I bring up Jose Rodriguez super chat yet? No, not yet. I will go through that. Jose Rodriguez is saying, Would you read Minnesota Court Rule 804B3 out loud for the class? I mean, it's hearsay, but like, um, you're talking about the rules of evidence, I assume. Like, yeah, it's unavailability. It's how we have it here in Ohio too. I'm pretty sure it's just mirrored out the federal rules. Well, if it loads, I'll take a look at it. Robert Lawrence is eating crows almost better than eating cats. Well, yeah, well, oh well. J-Rock says crows will mess me up. Yeah, don't worry, I'll take care of it. I'll take care of myself. Don't worry. Yeah, Chad, I can't get 804 to load. Hold on here. Why will this? Okay, here we go. All right, 804 hearsay exceptions declared unavailable. You wanted B3 statement against interest. Yes. I mean, yeah, it's a statement against interest, basically, and it's the issue of why would you say something? It's a statement against pecuniary interest. I mean, although what Nick would say would be an admission, but yes, even for Melton, yes, it would probably be considered an admission anyway. But yes, you wouldn't say these things unless they were true. Nobody in their right mind would admit to committing a crime unless they committed a crime. But for Nick, you still have the issue of that's an admission because if they charge him with something, it's a statement of a party opponent, an admission. You don't have to worry about this. But yes, this is an argument you can make as well. So if that's what you were asking about, Jose, yes, that is a thing. All right, let's see here, chat. He'd have to done something really stupid to get the Fed's attention. Yeah. Mobka says that's a pretty dumb exception, to be honest. Not really, because why would you admit to doing something like generally the premise is you're doing something that's harmful to your interest. You wouldn't do it unless it was true. I mean, when they wrote this, they weren't like, what if some dumb fuck comedian goes and does it as a big work? It's all meant for it to be lulled. No, they're like, nobody would do that. So, Justin says if he checks his card just for the Google thing, it might change the equation a bit. Oh, I don't know. I mean, like I said, we'll see what happens there. I think there's a lot they're going to take a look into. So, Krusty says, can you or won't you? I don't. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up here. All right. So, guys, yeah, that's kind of the whole Rekieta saga for right now. It's till we get to Tuesday. From what I've heard from people, and I've heard some things from people talking about things, Nick wants to go to trial, and he thinks he can do it. I don't know if he's... I don't know how much, if he's huffing duster and thinks he can do this or what's going on here, but I really hope he doesn't think he can go to trial. I mean, he ain't going to win, buddy. You ain't going to win. Nick, I will give you sincere legal advice. You're not going to win. Your drug results came back. It's clearly cocaine. If it wasn't, you would have already been able to get this thrown out. It's coke. It's in your house. Buddy, get diversion, get a deferred agreement, get something. But this is not a hill to die on. It's not a hill to die on. It's a needless waste. And despite what lulls may be had, you are literally just wasting it. Don't do it. Really don't do it. Oh, Tug Simp, which I don't know why anybody would be proud to be a simp of Tug, but okay. You don't want to go to trial because you can't speculate then. Well, I could speculate regardless. I mean, I don't want to go to trial because it's moronic and he's going to fucking lose. I know you or this is Nick's account. I don't know, Nick. Nick, there's no way for Hillary to win. You're not going to undo all the votes. There is no trusting the plan. There is no the Patriots are in control, the white hats are in power, Sessions will save you. Nope, not happening. So, don't know what to say. Don't know what to say. Yeah, I mean, that might be his argument. Maybe it's artistic coke, or maybe it's decorative, and it was just meant to sit on the coffee table. I don't know. Maybe that's the plan. Oh, I hope he takes advice from me because I'm a lot fucking smarter than his attorneys he's got right now because all they've done is fuck him in the ass. So I really hope he does listen to me. Listen to the guy, Nick, the horse you're riding ain't getting you to the line, man. You know, you ain't getting win, place, or show, baby. You need to get on a better stallion. Ride the stallion. Don't let the stallion ride you. Some of you might get what I did there. Oh, okay. All right, Chad. I think let's see if we got any more questions on that. Oh, Jose says I brought it up because I see Melton hiding out in the Mojave Desert with the death clause to avoid being forced to testify against Baldo. I mean, like I said, what more likely will happen is the police in Minnesota will contact the guys out in Las Vegas or Nevada or wherever the hell he lives. And they'll go, and they'll say, hey, Mr. Melton, we're helping conduct an investigation here. We have some questions for you and about this. And then he'll go, oh, blah, 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 blah. It was all the joke. And we'll listen to all the backpedaling and, because I'm sure that will happen at that point. And it will be hilarious body cam footage. As apparently there's currently a court case, or there was a court case Melton had in Las Vegas there, and it sounded like he was trying to jerk the judge around. She wasn't having none of it. So, yeah, it will be funny, but we'll find out what happens. And then Royston S. Bailey, and this will be the last thing, guys, for £2 sterling, the King Sterling, says Nick is going to get away with it. Another L for the toe. I mean, we'll see. All right. Oh, also, guys, if this hearing is televised at all, I will just say the one thing: do not go on there and fuck around in it. It is a court. Have a little bit of decorum and a little bit of respectfulness, because if you start fucking it up in there, like people did at the April hearing, they just fuck it up. Then they don't let people come into them again. So, yeah, funny, we're funny, and then we don't ever get to see these anymore. So, don't be that guy. Don't be the reason why we can't see anything anymore. Don't be the reason why we don't have nice things, Chad. Please don't be that guy. Oh. Uh-oh. Oh, chat. We might be losing it here. It's too late. We're done with the segment. You can't cut me off, Nick. Ha ha. Orania says, would the state bar require conviction for discipline to intercepting communication? No. Oh, hell no. Your conduct in a case, like if you're representing parties, what you do in a court case can get you fucked. They don't need convictions. Convictions are helpful. But if he were to get reported for surveilling privileged communications of other parties, actually, they'll probably be able to stick their head up and they'll go, wow, we can fit like another whole head in here at the same time. This is really wide already. Shockingly so. Huh. Hello. It's probably what happened next. Or they'll take a chem light and throw it and it'll just drop into nowhere. They won't see it hit. No, his actions at that point, I mean, like, I'm not going to lie. If I was on a case and I found out some jackoff was intercepting my communications with my client by being a little fucking asshole, I'd be going straight to the fucking bar. Nothing I really can do here from Ohio, but like if I was Aaron's attorney, oh, buddy, you bet I'd be looking to fuck Nick's ass with a shovel. Jeez. I mean, that's unacceptable conduct for an attorney. Like, his character and fitness is completely gone at that point. It is completely gone. The man cannot be trusted. He's completely unhinged. Like, that would not be acceptable at all. Because if you guys have ever seen emails from an attorney, it says, if you're not the intended recipient of this, please notify the sender and please destroy this copy and any all copies of this message. Yeah, that's how privileged communications work. It doesn't mean, oh, here, I'm going to sit here and then I'm going to talk about it. Oh, Yeah, that's not how that works. So no, he doesn't need to be convicted. The results of an investigation, if they decide not to, but it's all out there. Yeah. And when you talk to the state bar, you go, well, do you know what the myopia of a specter is? No? Well, that's because you're just poor. That's not going to work. Your word games will not work with them. And I know you still have your clients, and I don't know. I mean, if whoever you have for a client, I'm sure they wouldn't be thrilled to know you're a fucking chatty Cathy and you can't keep confidence and you just drop shit that's not yours everywhere. I'm sure clients would love to know that. I'm sure whatever your clients really are, wink, wink, that they really exist. I doubt they do. Spectre didn't do it. No. Lucentile says it was just jokes. Isn't a solid legal defense? No. Nope. High Plains Drifter says the man who told us to chillax. Well, I'm telling you, if I was in that situation, what I would do. Like, if I actually had a legitimate attorney-client relationship with a party and I found out someone else had surveilled the communications, I'd be fucking livid. And then if it turns out that guy has an active law license, you bet I'd be fucking up his ass. I'd be up his ass with a shovel. Or you can use a Matic, insert whatever, obnoxiously large ground implement there is. Maybe even an asphalt rake. That's pretty wide. It's got a lot of teeth on it. With specters. Sigrun says the lights flickered at the best moment. Yeah, well, and it's snowing hard again. Jeez. I'm about to use a snowblower tomorrow. Forget debarring him as a conviction necessary to debaldo the man. I mean, can you pluck it off of him, or is it kind of like grafted on at this point? Like if it just keeps growing and growing, it's like a tree when like the fence, it absorbs the barbed wire fence going through it, or the power lines. Like, can the baldo even come off at this point? Is it just stuck on there? Has he become one with the baldo? Something. Who knows? Patty says he violated attorney-client privilege. No, but it won't. It's not Aaron. So here's how I'll explain this. Aaron and his attorney have attorney-client privilege. Nick is a third party who appears to have intermeddled into that privilege. He's an interloper. Nick has surveilled that privilege improperly. He doesn't have privilege to do that. I would argue illegally as well. But even if it's not illegal, it's definitely improper and it's unethical, and that's against the rules of professional conduct. You're not allowed to go fucking around at things like that. So that's the issue. He violated other parties' privilege and confidentiality. So that's the thing there. But Nick is an officer of the court, so it's not a violation. 100% it's a violation. It's a violation of the professional rules. It's not on its face automatically a legal violation. So just because he did it doesn't mean it's a law, like a law was broken. Because the law might not be broken. The police might decide not to prosecute. But the state bar can discipline you for conduct that doesn't get prosecuted. They're allowed to discipline you for all kinds of things that aren't prosecuted. So, yeah, your violations of the ethics, yeah, you're governed by that at all times. So, yeah. Assholes React says, you forget Tricky Nicky didn't do it. It's all a government conspiracy. Yes. It's all government, the government playing telephone, and it's all a conspiracy. And, while it's not a grand conspiracy, they all their own separate little conspiracies. And they all just happen to work together. I don't know. This is another conspiracy chat. I'm sure there'll be a conspiracy about Aaron influencing the Minnesota State Bar as well at some point. Perestroika says ethical violations are very serious, and bar associations do not like trust in the legal industry being undermined. Yeah, and it's one thing to be kind of a spazzy lawyer out there doing stuff on the internet. It's another thing to be a complete off the walls lunatic, screwing with real legal matters. Like that, this is becoming number one, an embarrassment, but also just like people aren't going to this is something that would undermine the trust in the legal system. So I really hope it didn't happen, but it seems like it did. Just saying. That's how it looks yet. So, let's see. Yeah. We're all caught up here, chat. So, okay, we're all done. I said we're going to be done now. Wow, we spent a lot of time on Nick. Way much more time than he deserves. Much more time than he deserves. Moving on to the Frogman, Alex Jones. The Frogman. Well, if you guys remember, the Frogman was dealing with his bankruptcy because apparently he owes the Sandy Hook families like $1.5 billion because they got a bullshit judgment claiming he said Sandy Hook didn't happen. That's not what he said at all in any way, shape, or form, but they got that verdict, so the court system screwed Alex Jones. Alex Jones filed bankruptcy to protect what he had, and as part of the bankruptcy, assets have to be liquidated. And those things and assets are sold off to satisfy creditors, and that's done by a bankruptcy trustee. And a bankruptcy trustee is a person that's in charge of handling the bankruptcy. And believe it or not, and I've mentioned this before, and if you listen to other people, they'll tell you this too, a bankruptcy trustee is one of the most powerful people in the country. A bankruptcy case takes precedence over damn near every legal proceeding that can ever happen. A bankruptcy trustee has all kinds of power conferred onto it by the bankruptcy court. It's a very powerful position. Now, part of what was being done was Alex Jones's company. His company was being sold, and that's the production company, Free Speech Systems. That's the company that runs Infowars. Alex Jones himself doesn't own Infowars. Very much like Russell Greer learned about Kiwi Farms. Well, no, Kiwi Farms is owned by LolCal LLC. Kiwi Farms is not its own thing. But Free Speech Systems LLC was in charge of all of that, and they had the control over all that. So their assets were to be liquidated at an auction to satisfy his creditors, which right now, one of his big creditors are the Sandy Hook families. So there was going to be an auction for everything. Well, at that point, there was an auction, and Alex Jones had another group of people helping him. And they were called the First United American Companies, FUAC. They are affiliated with Jones and his online supplement store. They raised money and put money together to bid for Free Speech Systems. Now, what happened? They bid a lot of money. They bid quite a bit of money for the right to have the companies. So what happened? So the way it worked, FUAC's initial bid was for about $1.2 million, and the Onion's initial bid was for $1 million. So it was an auction, and you're going to bid, and then you outbid, and it was being bid like an online thing, like an online auction, like eBay and all of that. Okay. So other bids, and then there was going to be a live auction scheduled in November. After receiving the initial bids, the trustee in charge said, well, now we're going to do closed bidding. Okay. So Alex Jones and his backers put together $3.5 million. The Onion did not. And the Onion was awarded the bid. And the Onion was awarded control. So Alex Jones went to bankruptcy court and said, wait, what the fuck? How does that work? And now the bankruptcy court, yes, has very much been like, we're putting shit on hold. And here's what Alex Jones ended up filing, challenging all of this. And this is in the bankruptcy court for the Southern District of Texas and the Houston Division. United States Bankruptcy Court is a different court than district court. It is a separate court with separate judges. It is a very distinct institution. Now, this is the emergency motion to disqualify Global Tetrahedron LLC's bid. And this is for a Chapter 11 bankruptcy for Alexander Emmerich Jones, fighting the globalist. Now, this part here, chat, I know some of you are going to say, oh my God, this looks like some sort of schizo post. Nope. This is something you have to put in the orders. By rule and law, you have to note, it's to give you notice. That's why it's there. So don't worry about it. Skip it. It's boilerplate. Now, it's First United American Companies, the party in interest and the highest cash bidder of the recent auction, for the assets of Free Speech Systems LLC, files the emergency motion to disqualify the bid submitted by Global Tetrahedron LLC, an affiliate of the Onion. So that's who actually owns the Onion. So the trustee of the Alexander Jones Chapter 7 case, Christopher Murray, recently undertook to sell the Free Speech Systems assets pursuant to the court's sale order. And that's what happens. The court, you got to pay off your debtors. So the trustee filed a notice of successful bidder and backup bidder on November 14th. In the notice of this, the trustee designated Onion and Connecticut Families as the successful bidder, despite the fact that Connecticut Families are not paying the estate any money and they are not acquiring any of the assets. So the argument is, well, if they're a party, how is this working? Because they're not doing anything. They're just there. So it should just be the Onion. But we then learned the Onion was like, well, haha, we're doing this for the lulz, and we're going to run ads from Everytown USA for anti-gun stuff. And then we also heard statements from the Connecticut family saying, like, yeah, we're cool at this. We don't care that we're not making money. Which is a weird thing to say when you claim you want a cash judgment. But I don't know. I don't know, chat. I don't know. So attached is Exhibit 3 is a true copy of FUAC's initial bid, which the trustee determined was a qualifying bid. Attached is the Onion's initial bid, which was also determined as a qualifying bid. FUAC's initial bid was 1.2 mil, and the Onion's was 1 mil. There were no other qualified bids for the online live auction that was scheduled for November 13th. After receiving the initial bids, the trustee and Transon decided to scrap the live auction and conduct a secret final and best bid process without court approval and contrary to the sale order. And the sale order is how the court will tell how you will do this. And they did it in contravention of the order. FUAC's final bid was $3.5 million for all assets. The Onion's bid was $1.75 for all assets. Incredibly, the trustee accepted the Onion's bid as the highest and best bid. Now, what are they pointing out? Well, there's some issues here. There's nothing complicated or complex about FUAC's initial bid. And despite this, they determined the final round would take the form of the request of a secret highest bid because the complexity of the bids. But they're not complex. Attached in Exhibit 5 is a copy of the email from Transon, the Jones's, I'm calling him Alex Jones, it's easier to do that, guys. His counsel where the change of sale in the process was first communicated. This change in the sale and process in and of itself violates the sale order. Paragraph 12 of the sale order provides the trustee was authorized to implement other procedures other than the live scheduled online auction, only as he and his advisors announced on the record at the auction. The IP assets auction, meaning intellectual property, was scheduled for November 13th at 10:30 a.m. Thus, any change to the sale process was required to be announced at the auction and on the record. The trustee did not do this. Moreover, the sale required any changes to the sale process had to be disclosed to the qualified bidders. As such, below, the trustee changed the requirements of the sale order that were not disclosed as required by the sale order. The nature of things makes it very clear why the trustee did not disclose to them or Jones or the court and instead decided to cloak the process in secrecy. The only complexity was the Connecticut family's introduction of the concept of a valueless distributable proceeds waiver as consideration, meaning they basically offered nonsense as payment. Let's see here. Why did that go away? If the trustee was willing to entertain this concept, he was required to make full disclosure to FUAC and obtain court approval. Also, it sounds like Alex Jones would have had the right to make their own bullshit waivers and non-monetary things up to offer as well. But they weren't allowed that. They weren't told about it. They say by its very nature, the DPW is conditional, contingent, and provides zero value to the bankruptcy estate. It does not result in $1 going to the estate. In essence, it functions only under fundamentally flawed view. The Connecticut families are the owners of free speech systems or the assets, and they are effectively the seller. The only context in which the concept of a DPW is found is the case of distributions to owners of a business entity. It is conditional and contingent because it's based upon the amount of Jones's bid. It is not for a set amount. It goes up or down based on the amount of Jones's bid. And it floats. And they're arguing it has no value. It offers nothing. And that's important because the trustee is supposed to get the most money he can for the estate. He's supposed to sell the assets for the highest bid possible. He has an obligation. He has a fiduciary duty to do that. He has a fiduciary duty to do so. The Connecticut families assumed they would receive a distribution of $2.6 million from Jones's final bid, and other unsecured creditors would receive $875,000. Now, the argument is they're trying to argue they want to get paid directly from Jones, I think is what their argument's going to be, or the scam they're trying to run. But yeah, I just don't think it's going to work. The Connecticut families want the court to accept their waiver to a portion of their assumed distribution as a value to the estate. And they just point out whatever these families decide to do with the distributions adds nothing to the Onion's bid. As of today, there's no way to determine the amount of the Connecticut family's claim. It is not allowed and is subject to appeal. And they point out this is the equivalent of monopoly money. It has no value. It's also the impermissible collusion with the Onion in an effort to rig the auction with the goal of achieving a result desired by the Connecticut families. Yes, because they're fucking cocksuckers. Absolute cocksuckers. Piece of shit cocksuckers. I agree. That waiver should be determined to be, you know what? You guys want to fuck around? Fine. $1.5 billion waiver. Fuck you. That's it. You get nothing now. You want to fuck around with the money collection? We're done. That is how that should work. That is how that should work. that is how that should work if they want to fuck around like this. You know, they want to fuck around. They should learn. They should get the Redditor treatment. No quarter. You know, this is an effort to depress and lower the amount the Onion would need to bid in cash to ensure it was the winning bid. It's a textbook example of collusion and demonstrates an attempt to rig the bid process so the Onion could acquire the assets for only $1.7 million. This was not collaboration. This was outright collusive bid rigging. And because of that, they should be sanctioned. They should be sanctioned for that. Because it is. They're trying to do that as a bullshit way of inflating their value and rigging it. So therefore, they should lose money. They should lose the ability to recover money. The new unauthorized bid instructions. And they point out these bid instructions were not announced at the live auction as required by the sale order. They provided that the new instructions said all bids should qualify the amounts of all consideration and specific dollar amounts with specificity and avoiding references to any other formulas or contingencies. Moreover, the bids were to be the highest and best bids. You know, but despite knowing this, they failed to disclose to Jones they were considering the concept of a cashless value in determining the highest and best bid. But they already knew they were going to. These bids were not to be based on formulas or subject to contingencies, except the thing was. So, in good faith, Jones took his word and made their best and final bid in cash. The best and final bid is attached, and it can be understood within 5 seconds of review. If Jones knew that they were going to accept formulas, they would have made a different bid. Yeah. Their bid could have been even higher. In a complete bad faith and with improper collusion, the Onion submitted its overbid with a 3-page letter of explanation, a copy of which is attached, and perhaps after 30 minutes of study, one can decipher the range of the bid. And guys, I'm probably going to go over those bids coming up. I need a little looking up on some bankruptcy stuff to make sure I know it right, because I've only done a little bit of bankruptcy, and that's a whole separate area to get into. So the bid doesn't conform with the sale order or the unauthorized bid instructions. And they just point out the sale order states that the purchase price is to be a specific amount in US dollars, not a range, which means no formulas. Not only is it not in specific dollars, it's couched in terms of ranges based upon the amount of Alex Jones's bid. So they just point out it wasn't the highest and best bid. And because of that, the court has held hearings. It held a hearing today. It's holding hearings right now. And they're going to make a ruling. And I kind of get the feeling the court's going to say, yeah, this is bullshit. You're not allowed to do this. The secret and inclusive bidding is not going to be allowed. But the problem is, the ultimate issue is the trustee failed to give transparency to all the new bidders on the conditions that would be accepted. With the trustee's knowledge, the Onion was never going to make the highest and best bid. They were just going to offer bullshit. They were going to offer thoughts and prayers and hopes and feelings. And they point out under the secret agreement, the estate of Alex Jones would never get more cash. But the Connecticut families would reduce their claims rights to a speculative distribution in exchange for a future share of profits. And that's something the other creditors didn't get. And notice, chat, the issue with bankruptcy is about your creditors. The other creditors have a right to make sure they're made whole. They have the right to get the most they can get. And they have a right not to get fucked around with. And it sounds like they're getting fucked with too, because you sell all the assets and the estate only has so much money. Sometimes that's all you get. It's distributed amongst the creditors. So this high value thing was going to get sold for less. And the way the families were going to do this, it sounds like, it was going to get shuttled over to them by the Onion. And then they were going to turn around and rake Alex Jones over the coals for the Infowars name for a couple mil. And then they were going to split that mil amongst themselves. And the other creditors were going to be left standing out in the gold. That's fraud. You should not be allowed to do that. And I hope they can get goose egged for that. So, yeah, and this shouldn't happen. There should have been a new plan. So, I mean, this might be the real Sandy Hook hoax all along, that the bid was good. Maybe this is the hoax. So this entire thing is garbage here, and it's not fair. The fact that one trustee knew that one bidder's plan to top the highest was with an agreement that didn't increase the cash value, created a playing field that was unfair. Remember, the idea is good faith and fair dealing, that all parties have an equal chance. And it's impossible to value the bid at anything more than the $1.75 million. So the Onion's bids must be disqualified because it was an improper collusion. It was not made in good faith. It wasn't the highest and best bid. It was contingent upon Jones's bid, and it can't be accepted without a formula, which is not fair. It was given in a secret process. It was contrary to the sale order. It provides no value to the estate. And it's a distributable proceeds waiver. It was not contemplated or disclosed. And they want Alex Jones to be declared the winning bid, and that they also be granted any relief to which it shows they're entitled. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens going forward. So that'll be very interesting to see what happens with Alex Jones's case there. The trustee is a true lefty. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. That says a lot. Jefferson Post says, are bankruptcy courts the least likely to fuck around? Yeah, you do not want to fuck around in a bankruptcy court. That is... You don't want to fuck around in federal court, period. But a bankruptcy court's one place you don't fuck around. They don't have time for bullshit. They don't have time for games. This is going to cause a lot of fucking problems. And if I was the Connecticut families, I'd be really fucking worried about what's going to happen. Because your little fucking game fell apart. So. June says, how did the lawyers expect to get away with this? I mean, to be fair, Alex Jones has been fucked from the start. He got fucked in Connecticut. Remember, they defaulted him unfairly. He got defaulted in Texas. He got treated like shit in his case, the parts we were able to see, where his attorney, Norm Pattis, was on with. I mean, Alex Jones has not gotten a fair shake the entire frickin' time. The Frogman has been screwed from the start. Hold on one second, chat. I just heard the... So yeah, this was a lawfare from the start. Yeah. And can we get a thing summarizing how the courts have fucked Alex Jones? Yeah, basically, they allowed the Sandy Hook families to fuck him over with discovery to the point that the courts defaulted his cases, saying he automatically lost, and then inflicted a $1.5 billion judgment against him. I mean, companies who fuck with the SEC don't get fined that hard. Yeah, there's a lot, and it's something that will require like its own presentation. But yeah, he's been fucked with from the start, chat. So we'll see. Yeah, Norm was the Connecticut case, not Texas. I know, that's why I'm saying though. The case with Norm Pattis up in Connecticut, then he had the case down in Texas. They were both going on at the same time. There were all kinds of problems. Job Well Done says, isn't this from Texas? That's because Alex Jones is in Texas. Free Speech Systems, LLC, is in Texas. So that's where the bankruptcy is happening. The Connecticut families have their judgment, and they're a creditor, so they're involved in the bankruptcy case that's in Texas. You don't take the bankruptcy proceeding up to Connecticut. You keep it down here in Texas. So I need to tell 2.0. Those are my Melissa Etheridge CDs, and you will not part with them. She already knows. She already knows, chat. Yeah, we will get a show. We can work on that. Yes. I'll reach out to Norm Pattis. I don't know. Maybe he'll come on. I think there is an appeal in those judgments, but I don't even know the whole story about those right now because I hadn't had a chance to check. So we'll see. We will see. Let's see here. And so good luck, Alex. That's all I can say, Frogman. Good luck to you, sir. I hope there's some good information there. Okay. Jussie Smollett is the next thing, guys, we're going to talk about. If you guys are not aware, Jussie Smollett, obviously, he did the whole, this is, we got attacked by guys. This is MAGA country. And if you guys remember, he is the lead actor for Empire. He had his whole court case where he did the whole I am not suicidal. And if you guys need to, we can actually, I took the dunks. I watched it on the other tab here. If you guys don't remember, this is Jussie Smollett here.
Any questions?
Him after his trial for felony disorderly conduct for when he lied about being attacked as part of a hate crime and got the police all fired up and had them searching all over the place. He went to trial back in 2022, and this was him at his sentencing.
No, I would just like to say to Your Honor that I am not suicidal.
And this is after he gets sentenced to 5 months in jail.
Okay.
I am not suicidal.
Okay.
I am not suicidal. I am innocent, and I am not suicidal.
Oh, shit. Here we go.
If I did this, then it means that I stuck my fist in the fears of Black Americans in this country for over 400 years and the fears of the LGBTQ community. Your Honor, I respect you, and I respect the jury, but I did not do this, and I am not suicidal. And if anything happens to me when I go in there, I did not do it to myself, and you must all know that. I respect you, Your Honor. I respect your decision. Jail time.
Except he did shove his fist in the face of the entire Black community. And then as he got let out again, this is him once again being an idiot.
The sheriff, court is adjourned.
I am not suicidal. I am not suicidal, and I am innocent. I could have said that I was guilty a long time ago.
Now, one might argue that's a statement against interest right there. Yeah, an admission. I could have said I was guilty a long time ago, but he's an idiot, so it's hard to tell what he really means. But that's him getting hauled off. So Jussie Smollett did appeal all these issues, and the Court of Appeals released its ruling today, and ultimately they did make a determination, and the ultimate determination is, if you guys have not seen it, this is from the Illinois Supreme Court of the state of Illinois. We covered this whole thing in depth earlier. I know Kurt covered it as well. But the long and the short of it is the previous agreement made by Kim Foxx, the state's attorney for Cook County, Illinois, even though it might have been corrupt and wholly improper, the state was bound to honor agreements which people have relied. And they ultimately cite the Bill Cosby case. The case with Bill Cosby here. So they ultimately cite the Bill Cosby case, and they say they can't afford to destroy the system just because Jussie Smollett's a bad guy. They cite the Cosby case, the Bill Cosby case. And if you remember, Bill Cosby was promised by the prosecutor, if you go testify in the civil trial, we promise we can't prosecute you. And what do? They turn around and prosecuted him. So his case got overturned and reversed. Jussie Smollett's likewise got overturned. And they say society holds a strong interest in the prosecution of crimes. Yes. But no such interest ever can eclipse society's interest in ensuring that the rights of people are vindicated. You can't violate the principles of fairness. Now, I do like how they say this would be antithetical and corrosive to the integrity and functionality of the criminal justice system we strive to maintain. There's a lot of corrosive integrity and functionality issues that plague the criminal justice system anyway. But the argument is the state must be held to its bond. And they reverse the judgment of the appellate court, they reverse the judgment of the trial court, and the case gets remanded with directions for the circuit court, the trial court, to enter a judgment of dismissal. The judgment is reversed. Now, ultimately, why did they do this? Well, for Jussie, the idea was because he had already paid the $10,000 bond to the city, and he did his 15 hours of community service, which that's all he had to do, 15 hours. 15 hours, that's it. And they agreed to dismiss the case, and they considered it a complete ending. It was over. So the second time through, that was in violation. They didn't even get to double jeopardy, but a written promise, a contract. You do X, we'll do Y. And then the state breached that contract by going back on it. Well, at that point, Jussie had already performed. It was too late. So Jussie Smollett had made a detrimental reliance on the assurances and offer made by the state of Illinois, and he accepted it. So now you're bound by that contract. And they're done. So, yeah. So that's what happened, and that's why he gets out. Remember, chat, you may not like him, but that's where, if they don't protect him, they certainly won't protect you. And remember, the cases that we have out there, Ernesto Miranda, guy liked raping women. And that's what he was accused of. And they had to give him Miranda rights. Well, he was a bad man. Brady v. Maryland. Brady was a man accused of murder. Like, none of these people are good people. It's not soccer moms who make case law. So that's it there. Could Trump voters still sue Jussie Smollett? No. Now, I will point out for Jussie Smollett, his career is over. He hasn't really had anything to empire. He's been turned into a laughingstock. Even Nate's like, DC's MAGA country. Yeah, he's done. While Jussie Smollett has not served any jail time, society has certainly punished him. And sometimes that's more effective because that punishment will last forever, and it can last as long as society wants. It can be as harmful as society wants. Society can just basically never want him in any production of anything ever again and make him a broke guy working, on a street corner. Windexing cars, car windshields. So, in his situation, what's happened to him since then has been pretty rough. So I think at the end of the day, we got the last laugh. He really didn't here. Certainly, does he deserve to go to jail? Yes, but, it can't happen now. Infernal Machine says, where are the federal mail fraud charges? Remember, the feds aren't going to go after him. The U.S. attorney for the District of Illinois, the Northern District of Illinois, would have to bring that case. And guess what ain't happening? That. Or wire fraud charges. Guess what happening? Ain't going to be that. So, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And there might be other charges and causes of action that have gone away. Because remember, it all happened in 2019. 5 years ago. Almost 6 years ago now. A lot of statute of limitations have run. So, yeah. Job Well Done says, are you guys getting ads? Yeah, I try to make sure it's shut off, and sometimes I guess it's not shut off. Sorry. So, he'll still get work. He really hasn't gotten work since then. Jussie will be a hero to the woke community. That's fine, but and look what they're getting. They're getting fucking nowhere. So, have him. Keep him. He's yours. And all they're doing is racking fucking L's right now. They're racking and stacking L's. Oh, well, I don't feel horrible. It's got a one-man show off Broadway. Oh, so yeah. Once again, like he gets away with it. Oh well, he gets away with it. You know, that's kind of what happened there, guys. Like, okay. Sometimes the bad guys win. And sometimes the good guys lose. That does happen. It's not fun. It's not something you should ever want to see happen, but shit happens, guys. I mean, it sucks. Life sucks, then you die. Life sucks, then you die. All right, chat. Moving on from there real quick. We got some cases and trials we've been watching. One of them is did I just cancel out of the thing? Yes, I did. All right, Laken Riley, guys. If you guys remember Laken Riley, she was the University of Georgia nursing student. She was brutally murdered by a guy named Jose Ibarra, which an illegal immigrant who came over from Bulgaria. I'm joking. He came from Venezuela. We all know he did. And somehow he got the money to get from Venezuela all the way up to Central America to Mexico, get across the border, get caught, then released, and then get to New York City, where all these scumbag organizations gave him money and a plane ticket to get to Georgia to his brother, who was in Trendaragua, that Venezuelan gang that is terrorizing Aurora, Colorado, who then is also in trouble for immigration fraud. Shockers, I know. And then he spends the morning of February 22nd, 2024, and we see this in the trial, because he does it on university grounds partially. He spends the morning stalking women, trying to find one to rape and murder. He tries to break into this one woman's apartment for like 20 minutes, going like from door to door on her property. And then he's like in these grad student dorm, like apartments, like loitering around, hanging around, like shifting around like a scumbag, drinking his he's got some alcohol in a cup. And he's, 7 o'clock in the morning getting blitzed looking for women to attack. And I will tell you, Chad, if you go back and watch the trial, all the CCTV footage, there are so many women who basically brushed up against the Grim Reaper that morning, and he didn't get fucking killed. Thank God. But sadly, Laken Riley was murdered. And it's clear he tried to rape her because her clothes were all a mess. Her bra and her shirt were pulled up. Her pants, they were tried to push down. But it looks like Laken Riley fought back, and she fought fucking hard. She fucked him up. But sadly, being the piece of shit he is, the piece of shit savage he is, Jose picked up a rock and fucking knocked in her skull. And on the 911 call, one of the times 911 got called, you can hear thud, 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 thud. And that's him beating her fucking skull in. So after a while, the police, with all this evidence, they also catch him throwing away a jacket on camera, which is full of her hair. And it looks like he probably tried to suffocate her with the jacket when she didn't want to, have any part of his Venezuelan hotness. And she said, no bueno. And he got all mad. Either way, it's a hell of a thing because it's such an open and shut case, yet he wanted to go to trial. I don't know. But yes, the funny part, the very ironic part is his brother's getting deported for immigration fraud and Jose gets to stay. And now Jose gets to stay in America forever. So, I mean, at the end of the day, he can't be too mad because now he can't ever leave America. Ha ha! Yay, Jose! Ole! But yeah, she, I will say it again, Laken Riley fought back. And the fact she fought back is how he got caught. Her DNA was under his fingernails, and his hands were all fucked up and scratched up. His face was scratched. His back was scratched. She fought back. Danny says, what was a plea offer? There really wasn't going to be a plea offer. It's life without parole. That was probably the plea offer. Now, there was no death penalty because the DA down there is a Soros-elected DA who was worried about the implications for undocumented workers that charges could have. And didn't believe in the death penalty. Well, it should have happened here. Anyway, Jose got sentenced yesterday. He went to a bench trial, meaning the judge served as his jury, and it was a 4-day trial. It was very quick. We covered all 4 days. You guys can watch it. we wrapped up day 4 today. And if you guys want to see what happens, you know, he had his little interpreter and headset on when they were talking to him the whole time. But when it came to sentencing, he didn't need to have it on. Surprise, shocker, I know. He probably oblayed anglais pretty well. But here's what happened. Here's the judge giving a sentence.
With that, Mr. Ibarra, if you will please stand. Count 1, malice murder. I sentence you to life without the possibility of parole. Count 2 will be vacated as a matter of operation of law. Count 3, vacated by operation of law. Count 4, vacated by operation of law. Count 5, life in prison consecutive to count 1. Count 6, 20 years to serve consecutive to count 5. Count 7 will merge with count 1. Count 8, 12 months consecutive to count 6. Strike that. 12 months, but I don't want it to 6. It's just going to be consecutive. Count 9, 12 months consecutive. Count 10, 5 years consecutive to count 6. So that would mean the misdemeanors would come after the felonies. That will be the sentence. Mr. Ibarra, I will advise you that.
So that's what he got sentenced to. Basically everything. There were a total of 10 counts, and there were quite a few counts that he got sentenced for there, Chad. I know you were like wondering, well, hold on, wait, what's what here? I'm confused. Well, we're going to get to that here because there is a lot to this. And the total accounts he was facing here, he had felony murder, 3 separate counts of felony murder, meaning 3 different variations of theories he committed felony murder. And he could have got the death penalty for that. But the DA there didn't believe in the death penalty, and she didn't want to hurt undocumented immigrants, as she says. So she didn't want to hurt illegals. So that's why there's no death penalty in this case. They could have got the death penalty for this. Felony murder is always a death penalty eligible offense. Oh, boy. He was also charged with convicted of malice murder, false imprisonment, kidnapping, aggravated assault with the intent to rape, hindering a 911 call, and finally, in Georgia, it's called peeping Tom. You might call it voyeurism in other states, but because he was being a fucking creeper. Now, why were these? Some of you guys were saying, what is that? Well, yeah, she's a Democrat. That's why. Now, some of you were asking, why didn't the judge wear a robe? Because he doesn't have to. He can wear a suit if he wants. It sounds like none of the judges down there wear robes. And 10KV, you're saying, why was there a vacating? Vacating happens because while he was convicted of all 10 counts, he didn't commit felony murder 3 separate times, but he's guilty under Theory 1, Theory 2, and Theory 3. He can't be sentenced 3 separate times because he only committed 1 murder. So that's why it's called vacating, or you might hear about merger, that these things merge together. So there might be 3 offenses, but then they just turn into 1 at the end of the day. That's how that worked. And then you also have issues of like allied offenses of similar import. That's at least the term here we use in Ohio, that there's things that merge or there's similar offenses or they have similar issues that the sentences start overlapping and they get absorbed together, and it's unfair to punish that person that many times. Regardless, he's basically doing 2 consecutive life sentences without parole. So as they say, he's doing all day and all night. He ain't ever getting out. He gets to stay in America forever. But all the other counts, he got the 20 years consecutive. He got the other time consecutive. So he's never getting out. And, couldn't happen to a nicer guy. And just remember, chat, he's doing the jobs Americans would never do. Because if he wasn't here, some white guy would have had to have done all this stuff. At least that's what they tell us. At least that's what they tell us. But I don't really know if that's the case. Because I don't think anybody would have done that to Laken. But who knows? Jefferson Post says the judge sounded calm considering all the rage. Oh, I'm sure. But you know what? The judge is being professional because he's knowing I'm putting this vile scumbag away forever. That's the best he can do, is this feral human being is just going to be warehoused. Sadly, he's not being taken outside and shot in the back of the head. But, we got what we got. We got to work within the rules we have. Now, there are arguments, and there were state legislators in Georgia we need to kill him. I want the death penalty. Doesn't matter. You can't. It's too late. Ship sailed. So it doesn't matter. Oh, you're saying it's a compliment to the judge? Oh, I think so. The judge did a very good job. This was a very good judge. And at the end of the day, this was I was surprised at the amount of evidence they had. I figured they were going to be able to convict this guy, but oh my God, chat, go back and watch it. They literally had everything short of him confessing to it. They had him on camera throwing away items. They had him wandering around all over the area. They tracked his phone all the way there, and you could see where he's at and where Laken Riley's at. And once they meet, Laken Riley's phone dies, and then Laken Riley's wearing a smartwatch that could tell her heartbeat. They know exactly about what to the minute of when she fucking died. Because that stops working, and then you see fucking Jose just wandering along, going, ay, and doing glug, glug, drinking his juice and throwing shit away. And then they find that cup in the woods with his DNA on it, only his DNA on it. In between the crime scene where Laken Riley's murdered and his house, which is just around the corner. So, yeah, it's there was just so much evidence. I've never seen that kind of case like that. Normally people plea out, and this is what I've heard an old-time judge say, this is what we call a slow plea. And it's a very slow plea. It took 4 days to do the plea. But literally, they had everything on this guy, short of him admitting to it. It was very impressive what they did. Oh, the Browns won. Thank God. Was it a Circle K cup? I don't know. Yeah, they had some other guy's DNA on stuff too, but the jacket he throws in the dumpster is chunks of her hair in it. And, there's never, he refuses to say how any of this happened or why he's creeping around the apartment buildings. And they tried to turn around and pawn that off on his brother as an argument, but it all failed. It all fell apart. So, and the thing is, we also talked about this a little bit. And TJP, this is actually something we addressed. How many women did this guy probably rape and murder in Venezuela? Or when he got to New York City or wherever he's been traveling around, how many, and immediately the New York City Police Department, the NYPD, was rifling through their files to make sure there was nothing similar. And I bet he probably was assaulting and harassing and stalking and trying to rape and murder women everywhere he went. But remember, chat, he only does the things Americans don't want to do. So if he wouldn't have done it, somebody else would have filled the gap, probably, is apparently what they say. I don't know. So, yeah, it's probably easier in Venezuela, yeah. He did have charges in NYC. It was dropped. Yeah, but ultimately, I'm betting there's all kinds of things he probably didn't get caught for. So, yeah. Yep. So that is the issue with the Laken Riley trial. Like I said, guys, watch it if you want to get pissed off. Because basically, Kamala Harris and anybody who lets people in, this is what they did. The blood is on their hands. But they'll never acknowledge it. Moving on from there to the YSL trial. So the YSL trial, guys, remember we talked about this young thug and a couple of his other compatriots had pled out. There were the 6 of them, and now it's down to Yak Gotti and Shannon Stillwell. Well, the trial is now over. Opening or closing arguments start next week. The defense did not present any defense. Remember, they don't have to. But they did ask for a directed verdict, and the judge actually did dismiss quite a few charges against Yak Gotti and Shannon Stillwell. And as much as I'm surprised Judge Whitaker did this, because she has demonstrated the balls to be a judge in the meantime and properly help. But there is a bit of this discussion here about dismissing some of the charges against Yak Gotti, and it was really good. So it just, you never hear this, and I think it's worth listening to.
First, with regard to the ruling on the motions for directed verdict. So both the state and the defense requested and have gotten a trial in this case before a jury. Is not before the court as a bench trial. So that means that this court is not the trier of fact. And the standard, as you all know, for a motion for directed verdict is not the beyond a reasonable doubt standard, that what the jury is going to be determining the facts on when the case is given to them. The standard at the stage of motion for directed verdict is that all of the evidence is to be viewed in the light that is most favorable to the prosecution, and doing it in that way, looking at it in that way, is there any evidence from which a rational trier of fact could find the essential elements of the crimes that are charged. So with regard to the motion for directed verdict on counts 1, 2.
Now remember, chat, this is kind of like the whole Trump RICO indictment. Not every single person is charged in every single count. So Yak Gotti's in a couple different counts. Shannon Stillwell's on a couple different counts. Young Thug was in a couple different counts. All these guys were involved in a couple different counts.
Trying to do these in order. So let me just do it this way. I am denying the motion for directed verdict on all counts, except I'm granting a motion for directed verdict as to count 59, count 60, and count 62. I do not believe that the elements of that, even viewing in the light most favorable to the prosecution, there's evidence upon which a rational trier of fact could find the essential elements of possession of those particular items. Let me say that with regard to
That's Yak Gotti, guys.
counts 1, I'm sorry, not count 1, counts 2 and 49, again,
And that's Shannon
is
Stillwell.
not a beyond a reasonable doubt standard that the court is required to employ in determining a directed verdict as to those counts. I understand the arguments, but it is up to the jury to determine credibility of witnesses, and it's up to the jury to determine what witnesses or what parts of testimony they might believe and what witnesses or parts of testimony they might not believe.
And that's where things, she goes on for like another 15 minutes. We're not going to stick around for all that. But yes, it's her job to say they never met the fact. They never met the elements. And that's her job to step in, because that's a big issue. But when you're dealing with witnesses that weren't trustworthy or make any sense, or they're absolute garbage, sure, the witnesses may have lied and may have got embarrassed on the stand and torn apart. Like the final gang expert was completely embarrassed by the defense attorneys up there on cross-examination. That becomes the jury's decision to talk about credibility and all the other things that can happen there. So, yeah, she's going to leave it to the jury. Now, she might sit in as a 13th juror and then overturn a verdict if it's improper, but I don't know if she's going to do that. But I think that, Doug Weinstein, Yak Gotti's attorney, and Max Shart, the attorney for Shannon Stillwell, I think they're going to get an acquittal, and I'd like to think they will at this point, too. This was an absolute fucking horrible case. An absolute horrible case. And remember, chat, this is Fannie Willis's, they had to bring in new attorneys to help salvage it. She called in the A team and everybody she could. She called in reinforcements in the office. These are the people that are going to try to go after Trump. It's going to be a disaster because Trump has Ashley Merkin, Steve Sadow, all the attorneys in there are like just like Brian Steele and the guys in this trial. They have like a fucking murderer's row of defense attorneys in both cases, and they are just butt fucking the state on this stuff. So, yeah, it's kind of where we are. So good luck to the guys. I hope they win. I hope they absolutely goose egg the prosecution on this. So that is the game plan. Yeah, absolute pipe hitters. Yes. Yes, very true. Very true. So you guys had a couple of questions here, comments real quick. Drive Me Closer says, not presenting a defense is really fucking stupid for any attorney to do. Not really. I mean, sometimes your defense is just cross-examining and attacking the witnesses and evidence. Sometimes there is no evidence I can present. Sometimes I don't, if I try to present any evidence, it's not going to go well. Maybe there's nothing good I can present. Sometimes the best argument is they haven't met their burden. I mean, I'm going to fill you in a little secret here. You know, like this is pro talk now. That happens all the fucking time because that's usually the best option. You don't have a hell of a case, but the prosecution's case is really fucking rickety. So yeah, that's kind of the normal thing because you don't have good facts. I'm just saying. I'm just telling you, like that's how it go. That's how it go. Spud Gun says we had the same problem here in England. Dinghy drivers rock up. We have no idea who's here. The refugee crowd ignores the crimes they commit. Yeah, that is the tragedy of it all. That's the tragedy of it all. I understand. Asking how long does it take to get a JD, a Juris Doctor? It's supposed to take 3 years. Took me 5.5, but I went part-time the whole time. And then I had to take an extra semester because I was short like an hour. So it should take 3 years if you go full-time. Sometimes, like, theoretically, people could do it shorter, but I don't know about that. So, but yeah. And then Regod says, how do I pull federal paperwork? If you know the person and who they are, you go on Pacer, you type in Pacer government, for Pacer for government courts, figure out what court they were sentenced out of or their case was out of. And then you could search through and find their name and you could find like their indictment, their plea forms, all that stuff, their sentence, everything. I don't know what else you mean by federal paperwork because that's like saying, how do you get documents from the federal government? I don't know what context. So you know, if that's not what you're asking for, you might have to specify a bit more. Let's see here. All right. You're looking for what I said. Yeah. Go on Pacer. You may, it won't cost you anything. So you're not going to get through a ton of it, but just figure out where they were convicted, like where they went to court, and then start searching from there. You do have to sign up for Pacer. Yeah. So is it hard to become a notary? Not really. You go to like you sit in a class for like 3-4 hours, I think, total. And then they give you a notary stamp. I mean, for me, it wasn't. For me, it was even easier. I just said I'm a notary, and because that's how it works in Ohio when you're an attorney, I'm a notary. Ta-da! And I just signed my thing for the Secretary of State saying I want to be a notary. It was like $20, and I sent it in. And then I went to the Bar Association and I looked through through the little magazine with the office stamps in it, and I'm like, I want that one. And the Toledo Bar Association ordered it for me, and yep, done. No, there's no telephone notary. No. Don't do that. Don't do that. Please don't do that. So those are some of the cases that are raging on right now. Another case that is ongoing is Daniel Penny. Daniel Penny's trial is going on. The defense is beating the absolute dog shit out of the state. And there is a lot you could talk about here, but I will say these guys here, Inner City Press, They cover all kinds of court cases in New York City. They're doing all kinds of really good work on this. Apparently Daniel Penny gave like an 30-minute long interview to the police like the day everything happened. I have not had a chance to watch it. This came out this week. I want to watch it and break it down. While you shouldn't ever talk to the police, he did, but it sounds like he did a very good job at protecting himself, unintentionally or intentionally. Ag says this guy's a spurg with tweets. Well, he's just updating as it goes. Anyway, it sounds like Daniel Penny is doing pretty good. His they had their own pathologist who said there's no way the chokehold killed this guy. This guy died because he had anemia and all kinds of other issues, and he had mental health problems. He was in poor health because he didn't take care of himself and because he was on cocaine and alcohol. So, yeah, so that's a Daniel Penny update. Just wanted to give you guys a quick, heads up on that. Let's see here. Another case that's pending is the Trump RICO cases. The Trump RICO case down in Hotlanta. Well, we have this very interesting update from the Court of Appeals of the state of Georgia. And this is, if you guys have not noticed, there's a bunch of names here that seem familiar. Michael Roman, David Schaefer, Mark Randall Meadows, former chief of staff, Donald John Trump, the president-elect of the United States, Rudolph William Louis Giuliani, Jeffrey Clark, and Harrison Floyd. All these other guys are here too. But these guys, all of this, the oral arguments that were set to take place on December 5th at 10:30 a.m. are canceled until further notice of the court. Now, what does this mean? Ultimately, I'd love to say like, woo, uh-oh. I mean, we'd love to say that. We'd love to think that. Who really knows? They could have canceled for any number of fucking reasons. I'd love to think the Georgia Court of Appeals is like, denied. Fanny, you're done. Case is dead. The Emperor of Mankind is in charge. But I think it's probably more of, we're going to reschedule for another day. Remember, they don't have to tell you. Here's the thing, chat. When a court does something, there are times where I've gotten an email saying, oh, we're vacating your trial date. We're vacating the pre-trial date. And that's all they tell you. And sometimes if you ask why, none of your fucking business is basically what you get told. Don't fucking worry about it. You ask too many questions. So no, just normally when it happens, you're just like, all right, understood. Not asking questions. Don't. Oh, so who knows? Obviously, we like to think there's some sort of felting about to happen. Just the righteous hand of God is about to land. I don't think that's the case. As much as I'm, that's huffing hopium. Don't huff hopium, chat. Don't huff hopium. Bob Mata, Defense Diaries. What's up, man? If you guys have not watched Defense Diaries podcast, Bob went out to Delphi, Indiana for the Richard Allen trials. And my understanding is Bob actually got to have a seat throughout the whole trial. Was there with Andrea Burkhart and Attorney Lee, and got to experience and see the injustice firsthand. So I need to reach out to you, Bob. We need to set up a time you can come on and talk about what you saw, because I still think Richard Allen got done dirty, and the story must be told. Because remember, chat, the judge didn't let us know what happened. She wouldn't share it with us. We had to find out through people doing it the old-fashioned way. So, but yeah, guys, if you've not ever given them a look, Bob and his wife, Allie, are defense attorneys out in Chicago. They do pretty cool stuff. They have a lot of good people on. They break it down in their own way too. So it's great to look to and listen to. Okay, so thank you for being here, Bob. And what's we on to next? The next Trump issue is and somebody brought it up just now with Judge Merchan, the case out of New York City with Alvin Bragg. These are the business documents cases, the 34 felonies. Well, we end up with some information that was filed here, and we're going to start off with from Blanche Law PLLC, and this is from Todd Blanche. And if you guys remember, Trump's attorneys are getting high positions in the DOJ, or, for example, D. John Sauer is now the Solicitor General, is going to be going forward. Todd Blanche is going to be a Deputy U.S. Attorney. So is Emil Bove. And then William McGinley is going to be White House Counsel. Well, anyway, this is, and if you guys, we've mentioned this before, using letters as like briefing information is something that's very common in is a very East Coast thing to do. In Ohio and I'm out in the Midwest, a lot more of this stuff is done by motion, but this letter is this is normally how you do stuff. So anyway, this is from Trump's attorney, and he's saying, "Dear Justice Merchan," because remember, Judge Merchan was going to make a ruling on stuff, but he hasn't done anything yet. He suspended it and was waiting, and we still haven't got the ruling yet. We're still waiting there. We're still waiting. Oh, Bob, you're taking a look at Zechariah Anderson. Yeah, that's a that. Trust me. If you need to, Zechariah's brother Solomon would be happy to give you some information and resources. I can put you in touch with him if you want. Just let me know. Anyway, the immediate dismissal of this case, and here's what they're telling him. They're not like, since Trump won, now they're just, now's the time to whip your dick out and slap it on the table. And here's what they're doing. Immediate dismissal of this case is mandated by the federal Constitution. It's mandated. They're not even saying like, "Hey, Judge, can you please do it?" No, they're just like, listen, honey, here's what's going to happen. They're putting their feet up on the desk. Oh, yeah, that's the other thing Zechariah said. Never found the dude's body. Yep. Anyways, the Presidential Transition Act of 1963 and the interest of justice in order to facilitate transition of executive power. Therefore, we respectfully submit this pre-motion letter to request permission to file a motion to dismiss by December 20th, pursuant to New York law, section 210.4.40, and request, as the District Attorney of New York has consented to, the court stay other deadlines. Remember, the District Attorney of New York, now remember, we talked about this before, chat, every borough is its own county. So the District Attorney of New York is not the District Attorney for all 5 boroughs. New York County is Manhattan Island. So Manhattan is New York County. And Brooklyn is Kings County. Then there's Queens, and then there's Staten Island. So remember, this is talking about Alvin Bragg in the Manhattan DA's office. And they say, as DA Bragg engages in his own election campaign, he appears not to be ready to dismiss this politically motivated and fatally flawed case, which is what is mandated by the law and will happen as justice takes its course. I do think ultimately it probably will happen that way. Oh, wow. Zachariah wrote you a letter. Nice. Like I said, Bob, I'll get you in touch with some people too. They say, however, the DOJ is reportedly preparing to dismiss the federal cases against Trump and will report its final decision to the courts on December 2nd. As in those cases, dismissal is necessary because the Constitution forbids placing in the hands of a single prosecutor and grand jury the practical power to interfere with the ability of a popularly elected president to carry out his functions. And this is from the Office of Legal Counsel from the DOJ, a 2000 memo from the Office of Legal Counsel of the DOJ. And they say, just as the sitting president is completely immune from any criminal process, as Trump got, explained in Trump v. United States, so too is President Trump as president-elect. Federal law provides for the orderly transfer of executive powers in connection with the expiration of the term of the office of president and the inauguration of a new president. The president-elect is called upon probably to make more fateful decisions than he will have to make after he is indeed sworn into office. And this is part of the Presidential Transition Act. So there exists the greatest public interest in the United States, providing the president with the maximum ability to deal fearlessly and impartially with the duties of his office, citing the case that he himself won, which is hilarious. So there is a national interest And it's part of Trump's public function as he prepares to govern based on the powerful national mandate, which it pretty much was. Once again, chat, not only look at the numbers, but look at the trend indicators. That is just looks like a Agincourt with the amount of red arrows flying along. There. Let's see here. What am I looking at here? So, the Presidential Transition Act requires all officers of the government to take appropriate lawful steps to avoid or minimize disruptions that might be occasioned by the transfer of the executive power and to promote orderly transitions in the office of president. So they say continuing the case would be uniquely destabilizing and threatening to hamstring the operation of the whole government apparatus in both foreign and domestic affairs. And as the law notes, states have no power to retard, impede, burden, or in any manner control the operations of the constitutional laws enacted by Congress. The Supremacy Clause, bitches. And that includes the Presidential Transition Act. And we're going back to one of the oldies, Chad, if you know constitutional law, McCulloch v. Maryland from 1819, up there with Marbury v. Madison in importance. And they say, indeed, in Trump v. Vance, and that means Cyrus Vance, not J.D. Vance. Cyrus Vance was the predecessor to Alvin Bragg. So just like there was no Trump didn't go, he didn't sue J.D. He didn't sue J.D. Bob is saying, did I miss the lewd giveaway? Yeah, well, Bob, the stuff you could order from maf-arms.com, they're wind chimes. I don't think they're legal in your state. So you might have an issue with them. Or the fact you live I think you live in Chicago or near Chicago. They might be illegal where you live in your town. So that might be a bit of an issue for you. So just something to keep in mind. Got to be careful. I don't want you to get in trouble. So, where are we at here? Okay, so they argue that the PTA establishes that the burden here is all too real. Under these unprecedented and dangerous circumstances, the criminal law provides a mechanism for dismissal the Supremacy Clause requires. And they want a December 20th deadline to file the brief so Trump has the opportunity to address in that submission the positions taken by the DOJ in the federal cases. The court must address these new issues and dismiss a case prior to issuing a decision on the previously filed presidential immunity motion. Remember, that was already outstanding. After the Trump v. United States case came down, they filed a motion challenging presidential immunity. And the judge was like, okay, yeah, we do need to address this. And he made both sides address it and briefed it out. And he hasn't ruled on that yet. And remember, Trump still has to get sentenced, and that's been kicked out. So there's a bunch of stuff up in the air in this case. There are dispositive motions and dispositive acts the court still has to take. So even if this court were to wrongly deny the new interest of justice motion, which it should not do, the appropriate forum for any additional proceedings must first be resolved in President Trump's removal appeal. And that's People v. Trump, and that's in the that's another case currently pending. Moving forward, the absence of a ruling by the Second Circuit would defeat the very purpose of permitting an appeal. Say that wrongful approach would be problematic, given the questions of lasting significance. To the extent the court plans to deny any aspect of the relief requested herein, including by moving forward with other rulings, including sentencing, President Trump requests the court say the implementation of the ruling so Trump has adequate time to pursue appellate review. On November 5th, the nation's people issued a mandate that supersedes the political motivations of Alvin Bragg's people. Remember, it's the people of the state of New York versus Donald Trump. This case must be immediately dismissed. Respectfully submitted, Todd Blanche and Emil Bove, as they get ready to take their assistant U.S. attorney positions. Yeah, Trump just said suffer to everybody. Suffer, New York. Suffer. He's like, I already own the whole island anyway. Yes, very savage. And that's the thing. When you word it a certain way, and you don't normally get to go into a court. And because here's the thing, if Mershon does something, the federal courts will stop it. So they're going to be like, yeah, we can't allow this to happen. You don't generally get to put yourself in a position where you get to be like, listen here, motherfucker, to a judge and be like, listen, buddy, you want to do all this stuff, and I'm telling you how it's good. And you're telling the judge, listen, judge, follow the bouncing ball, follow my steps. Here's what you're going to do. And they're basically saying that. They're basically telling the judge, like, listen, buddy, here's what's going to happen. If you don't do it, here's what's going to happen, and we'll have to do it for you. So it's very interesting they have it that way. And oh my gosh, oh, it quit snowing. Cool. Finally. They were right about midnight. Oh my God, it did snow a lot. Oof. All right. So that is the update there for Trump. Alvin Bragg released a similar letter. They sent in a similar briefing here, and it's 12 pages. It's 12 pages. This is just all whining and crying, and it's just, oh, well, no, it's so sad, and just crying like little babies. We've already talked about this letter before, the arguments they're making before. They are not going to object to a stay of further proceedings pending the motion to dismiss. But they're not giving up here. They are not giving up here. They want to go forward with this. They are just, they're arguing that dismissal, they deeply respect the office of the president and are mindful of the demands and obligations of the presidency and acknowledge the defendant's inauguration will raise unprecedented questions. We also deeply respect the fundamental role of the jury in our constitutional system. Okay. Well, yeah. So now their argument is it's a post-trial proceeding that was initiated when he was not immune from the criminal prosecution. So their argument's going to be you could still put him in jail. That isn't going to work. And it would be hilarious if they tried to do it. And, they take Trump to Rikers Island. And then on January 20th, he's on freaking, that would be so hilarious. He's on freaking Zoom, standing there on screen in a jumpsuit. Hi, Donald Trump, hereby. And as soon as he does it, like Delta Force is like, comes in and they're like, Mr. President, we got you, and escort him out. And Trump's hanging on to like the seat on a little bird on the bench and he gets like taken out of there. That would be hilarious, but yeah. Yeah, that's probably not going to happen that way, although it would be very funny. It would be very, very funny. So here, I need to cancel out of a lot of things I got to here so far. All right, chat. We have God, we're making better time than I thought. I thought we had a ton of stuff still. I thought we had a ton of stuff, but we just condensed a lot of our stack down. Neat Scholar over on Rumble says the DA should pay the fee difference between life in jail and a lethal injection. Yeah, I can see that. Joe Schmo says, do you have a backup generator, Sean? I don't know where we would put one. We don't really have a lot of room. And no, the backup generator is going to be, we'll put Clyde on a treadmill. And he'll just, he'll spin a hamster wheel and that'll turn us. And then over in locals, guys, I can't show some of these, but these are fucking hilarious. Oh my God, I can't show this one, but this one's really good. Demon's Wrath. That's a very funny one. Okay, so we are moving on to, let's see here. Pennsylvania. There's some interesting stuff in the state of Pennsylvania. If you guys were not aware, there was a long, drag-out fight in the state of Pennsylvania for the election of senators in the state of Pennsylvania. And it was between Dave McCormick and Bob Casey. That just ended today. As you guys can see, it was it was coming down to pretty thin margins. It was coming down to very, very thin margins here. And, I mean, look at that. Look at that. The Libertarian, like if any of the people voting Libertarian had voted one way or another, that would have been the race. 17,000 votes, chat. So there was an issue in Pennsylvania. And in Pennsylvania, there were issues about ballots that were not properly filed. People who couldn't fill them out. They weren't dated or they were misdated and all kinds of other junk that was wrong with the ballots. Well, there were a lot of ballots in that situation. And as we talked about last week on the political show, the election show, the board of directors for Bucks County, Pennsylvania said, well, we're going to do what we want because, we can do whatever we want. It doesn't matter if we violate the law. Well, the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania got involved and there was a lawsuit filed, and it was part of the Republican National Committee, the RNC, and the Pennsylvania Republican Party had to file it, and they filed it basically against all 67 county boards of election. All 67 counties in Pennsylvania, which I am surprised there's only 67 counties in Pennsylvania, but whatever. So it's all the counties. It's all the counties. And it's an order, and it's per curiam, meaning that they all agree and nobody's saying they do it as one. They act as one court here. And that says something. And they say, now this 18th day of November, the application for leave to intervene filed by the Democratic Senate committee and Bob Casey for Senate is granted. Bob Casey was the Democrat incumbent. The application for leave to file an amicus brief by the Pennsylvania Department of State and Secretary of the Commonwealth, Al Schmidt, is granted. Now, the petitioner's application for the exercise of King's bench power or extraordinary jurisdiction is granted. Now, why does it say King's bench? Remember, chat, Pennsylvania was a colony. It was one of the original 13 colonies. William Penn, the namesake of Pennsylvania, was given a royal grant by the king to set up Pennsylvania and colonize it. So they have those things there. And it's a commonwealth. Notice they don't say it's the state of Pennsylvania. It's the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Anyway, just something to think about there, and say the court hereby assumes its King's bench authority, which I looked at it earlier. It has the ability just to say, nope, we're yanking the jurisdiction on this. Over the instant application, only to direct that all respondents, so remember, all the respondents are these boards of elections, all 67 counties, including the Board of Elections in Bucks County, Montgomery County, and Philadelphia County. Remember, it's Philadelphia and its border counties, and it's saying them explicitly by name. You shall comply. You shall comply. You will bend the knee. With the prior rulings of this court, in which we have clarified that mail-in and absentee ballots that fail to comply with the requirements of the Pennsylvania Election Code shall not be counted for the purpose of the election held on November 5th, 2024. Shall not. And they put it in all caps and bold to make sure there was no ignoring it. Oh, I didn't understand. We'll make sure you understand. So they say the application is denied in all other aspects. In particular, we deny the request to exercise plenary jurisdiction over the related matters that have been commenced in various courts of common pleas. So there's all kinds of cases that are pending. And they're saying, we ain't fucking touching any of that. We're just saying you can't count bullshit ballots. This order shall be deemed authoritative and controlling in all matters as to all county election board members. Meaning, listen here, you chuckle fox. We're talking about you. So these justices filed their own concurring statements. We don't have them. We didn't need to. There was a dissenting statement, which there was some issue there. But overall, they speak as a court here, per curiam. Yeah, so very interesting. So, and as we found out today, Bob Casey did concede the election. McCormick did win. And from there, it is done. Hold on here. What was somebody asking? Yes, will, shall, and must. Yes. Maddie B says, what does plenary mean? Plenary means like a plenary power is a full and complete and absolute power. So they have a plenary power, a complete, full, absolute, unchecked power to do something. It's kind of like a pardon. The president's ability to pardon people is a plenary power. Other than in cases of impeachment, the president can pardon you. It's basically unlimited in scope. So this court probably has some sort of plenary power to assume jurisdiction, not even if things were filed with it, but it can like reach down and say, yep, we're taking that case. It's ours now. All right, we're going to rule on it. And they can open it up. They have that power and they're like, we're not going to do that. You guys are fucking around with your gay election shit. You guys keep that. We think this settles the problems. But as I will say, and I know we've been doing the election show, a couple episodes of it, chat. Tune in for that. We'll probably do some tomorrow night. There's a lot to talk about. There's going to be a lot of lawfare. That's a long way to January 20th, chat. We got 3 months. We got actually 2 months. Sorry. We have 2 months to January 20th. There's a lot of lawfare and a lot of crisis that can happen in the meantime. So just be ready. Just be ready. So Cedar Rose says, when does Trump get in office? January 20th. Consneeding. Yes. Brittany's saying, is this good? Yes. Because it stops all the vote counting. And the funny thing was, with Bob McCormick and Casey, the recount gave Dave McCormick more votes. He actually increased his lead. So the recounting actually helped him. Is Arizona still counting? I don't think so at this point. California was still counting. Let me check here. The House. Let's see if there's uncalled House races. Yeah, it looks like there's still one that's not been called. California 13th district. Looks like another district in California hasn't been called. I think every other one has pretty much been called. So, yeah. That's looks like that's it for now. Jose Rodriguez says Safa Buck Broken County. Yes. Buck! What's their status? Votes trashed. Bucks broken. Horrible status. Missouri Battle Flag says Jimmy Johnson. Like that Jimmy Johnson? Like the NASCAR driver? Like really? Oh, here. Oh my God. Wow. Oh God. He's got charges here? Jeez. That's rough. Yes, Scott Pressler won Bucks County. Scott Pressler from the Persistence won Pennsylvania for Trump by getting the Amish registered to vote. So, what would have happened if the government had said the vote should be counted? The court would have said, no, don't fucking count them. In French, plein means full. Yes. And given that we take a lot from French, that's where plenary comes from. Mark Elias is making bank. Oh, yeah. Remember, chat, his name, and I've talked about him before. Mark Elias is quiet, and that should tell you a lot. Something's going on. They're plotting. It's kind of one of those deals. It's too quiet. It's too fucking quiet. It's too quiet. I don't like it. JC says, wow, it's a very close race in Cali. Yeah, some of these are very close. So, We are now moving on to other election-related issues here. And this is important. It is about the Attorney General's race, because that's a law-related thing, the Attorney General appointments. Matt Gaetz has quit, has dropped his nomination as Attorney General, which is a little confusing what's going to happen to him because he resigned his seat in this Congress, but it also sounds like he quit for the future Congress. So can he still be congressman going forward, or what's going to happen to him? We don't know. So as a result, Trump has nominated the former Attorney General of the great state of Florida, Pam Bondi, as our next Attorney General for nomination. And he goes in here and says all this stuff about Pam, blah, blah, blah. She's great, great ever. If you guys don't know who Pam Bondi is, she actually helped present the defense for Trump's trial, his impeachment trial, the one with Ukraine, the one with all those shitbirds like Eric Cimarella and Alexander Vindman, these fucking treasonous pieces of shit who tried to undermine the presidency and who should look in their cars for some lives. Yeah, I hope they do. Did I say that? I didn't say anything out loud, did I? That was weird. Anyways, this is Pam.
For lack of progress in the case. In mid-January 2017, Burisma announces that all...
So anyways, that's just who she is if you never heard her talk before. What will I say, though, about her? She's tried cases. Okay, yes, she doesn't look like she got hit in the face with a brick. The problem is Pam Bondi, I mean, she's done some things I didn't like. She's favored red flag laws. She helped, wasn't opposing Florida passing a bunch of gun control laws in the wake of the shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School with Nicholas Cruz. There's some things I don't like about her. But overall, I mean, yeah, she's better than like some other, Heritage Foundation pick, sure. So, I mean, why not? Let's see what happens. I mean, they're freaking out from her. Yamal saying, you can't resign from a Congress that hasn't begun yet? No. I don't know. I don't know if you can. Like, I don't think this is, I don't know. I don't know what the case law says on that. Is it legal? Can you do that? Maybe. I mean, that's part of the issue. We don't know the answer. So, Gaetz didn't want the smoke. Yeah. Yeah, I still think the report should be fucking released. I want to see it. JC says, Vindman is my representative in Virginia. I'm so pissed. Remember, that's his brother, the other cocksucker. Remember, there's two Vindmans and they're twins. Every fucking choice he's made is bullshit. No, some of them are pretty good. Some of them are pretty good, and some of them I like. There's some of them I don't like, though, like this idea of making Mike Rogers, the former FBI fucker and Chloe, the head of the FBI. I don't want. I want Kash Patel running the FBI, but yeah, there's a bunch. Like, that's the big one for me. But other ones I actually think are pretty good. I like his chief of staff. I like I actually think Marco, I'm trying to give Marco Rubio the benefit of the doubt that he's on the Trump train now. But I think Doug Burgum for Secretary of Interior will be good. I think who he's picked for Secretary of Commerce will be very good. I think he's actually done quite a few decent picks. I just don't like all, the Lee Stefanik and Mike Huckabee being like all about, Israel, but I can't do much about it. His pick to the his ambassador in NATO, Matthew Whitaker, former Deputy Attorney General, that'll be fucking epic. So we'll see. We'll see. Lil Marco's a horrible choice. I don't know. Apparently he's on board. We'll see. The rumor is that Rogers will be the FBI director and Patel will be the deputy director. I don't know. I don't know about that. That still makes me feel very with it. Bass Kicker says we should deport all the Vindmans to Ukraine. We probably should. They'd like it there. They'd like it there. They can be salami ukulele all day long, and they don't have Trump. There's no Trump there. They'll love it. So, you guys don't like Doug either? Well, I like him. So, suffer. Some of them are good. Rubio will snake him. We'll see. We'll see. I think Trump will be far quicker to start fucking axing people right away. But we'll find out. We'll find out. But, it's too late to do anything about it now, chat. And it's not like Trump's going to listen to me. I sent in a cover letter and stuff, but I haven't heard back. So probably not going to do it. He's probably not going to listen to me. All right. So moving on from there. Andrew Tate. You remember Andrew Tate? Top G, the top of the G's. Andrew Tate is facing a lot of legal problems in Romania. Well, his case has not been dismissed. People running around acting like it's a big victory. He did get a little bit of a win, but it's not a fatal flaw yet. So the Romanian appeals courts, they find flaws in his case, and basically the prosecutor has to withdraw the charges or amend the indictment. And he's been charged with a couple things, including human trafficking. Basically, he runs the cam girl websites, and he was basically, the girls would come over and he'd take their passports and force them to work. And, the girls would be on camera, but him and his dudes would be sitting back there typing to the guys give up their money. That's a little creepy that they enjoyed sitting there and they brag about trying to make dudes coom on the internet. I mean, that's kind of questionable, just a little bit to me. But anyways, there's Top G himself looking like a fucking idiot. So anyway, and this came out on Tuesday. So they have 5 days to fix the irregularities, and were ordered to amend them or withdraw it. So that said, the prosecution considered the court said some of their objections are valid and found several flaws in the indictment. Now, they've been stuck in Romania basically since 2022, and they were formally indicted in mid-2023 on charges of human trafficking, rape, and forming a criminal gang to exploit women. They deny all their charges. They've been fighting the entire time. And maybe they're legit. Who knows? Like I said, the one thing I would not trust is the justice system, in Eastern Europe, because as Tate said, you can bribe them, which means they can get bribed against you too. But the appeals court said that some evidence must be removed, including witness statements by some of the victims and statements by the brothers, which were deemed inadmissible. They said the prosecutors hadn't really done their job explaining the charges to one of the victims, and the charges against the female suspects were not properly presented, and the indictment did not specify amounts related to assets confiscated. So we'll see what happens, but you guys remember he has been the head of Hustlers University and now is like trying to do a crypto scam and all kinds of stuff there. But we will find out what happens to him. But yeah, this helps. They're politicals at this rate. But yes, he was trying to tell you what it takes to be a man. And yeah. So we'll see what happens at the Top G. We will find out. So that'll be, like I said, who knows what's really going to happen there. If you guys, and this is one going back a little bit in the Wayback Machine, Amber Guyger, she was a Dallas police officer. She came home from her shift at work, and she had worked like a 12-hour shift and kind of was on cruise control. Like when she got off the elevator, she got off the wrong floor, went to where her apartment would be, and went into the apartment, and it was the apartment of an innocent man who she then pulled a gun on and then shot and killed. So Amber went to prison for murder or manslaughter, and her family got a $100 million verdict against her, which, yeah, I'm sure she ain't going to be able to pay that in prison, but, good verdict, because she was convicted of shooting and killing Botham Jean in his own apartment, which was really fucking tragic. The guy was minding his own fucking business in his own apartment, and she shot him because she showed up. I was like, oh my God, there's a black guy here. Blab, 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 blab. Which then it turns out it wasn't even her apartment. And he actually did nothing wrong. So she's serving a 10-year sentence for murder. And so she confused the apartment for her own. And she appealed the conviction but lost, and she became eligible for parole this year. She's probably not going to get it. But yes, her family got a $98 million lawsuit, which they're probably going to collect from the city and shake them down for. But I just thought it was interesting. And Jean out there sent that to me, and I told her, good catch. I hadn't heard about this. So it is something I wanted to give. Yeah, the black guy was sitting there eating ice cream in like his underwear and stuff, and she killed him. So, yeah. Sergeant Jordan says Sam Hyde is a correct take on female cops. Yep. So, yeah. Anyways, Gene, thank you again. Hat tip to you for finding that. I appreciate it. Was very interesting there. So thank you. And then the last thing tonight, chat, is Susan Smith. If you guys don't know who Susan Smith is, she is a woman who 30 years ago, she took her kids and put them in their car seats and took her car and shoved it into a lake. Yep. She 100% fucking did it. Yeah. Her kids were in the car seats and she shoved it into a fucking lake. She then made up a story that she had been carjacked by a couple of black guys and that the car was missing. And yep, 5 kids. Yep, all her kids. She put them all in car seats, locked them in the car, and just whoop right into the lake. So she got 30 years in prison for that. She got a life sentence, but 30 years to life, and she's now eligible for parole. So Susan is eligible for parole, and it was a big issue whether or not she would get it. And it's because her side piece did not want kids. Yeah, I thought it was two. I thought it was like 2 or 3. Yeah. But anyways, she had lied and claimed these kids, like she had been carjacked. So the police were searching high and low for like black guys pulling them over and sweating them. And like, thank God they didn't fucking accidentally kill anybody or put anybody in jail. So yeah, her parole video is so bad. And there is a full parole video out there. I'm going to cover that when we get, because the hearing was recorded and it was streamed. Like people have access to it. We're probably going to watch that this weekend. I've been told it's pretty fucking grim. It's pretty fucking grim. So anyway, she was given an opportunity to have a parole hearing. And yeah, it was, how is she even eligible? Because people are on parole. People are eligible for parole. Doesn't mean she gets it. So she was denied parole after she begged to be let out, but ultimately she refused to accept responsibility for all her crimes. And that right here, chat, is the big thing. She refused to accept responsibility. That will fucking get you every time. So she was denied parole by unanimous vote after she asked to be let out of prison. She apologized for drowning her 2 sons and said she wished she could take it back. But she refused to take responsibility, blaming others for the choices she's made. A lot of that going around today. The 7-member board of South Carolina Board of Paroles immediately voted to deny her request. But now she's up for parole every 2 years. But they immediately denied it at the hearing. Now, if you guys watch the channel Mandoo, Mandoo, he showed parole hearings out of like Connecticut and Louisiana. Their hearings are a little less televised and publicized, but this one was big. But she had an issue. She had other issues, though. She had disciplinary action several times in prison, including 2 separate sexual encounters with guards, incidents of self-harm, which isn't a big deal, but possessing drugs. And then more recently, she gave information to her family and her ex-husband to a documentary producer. And remember, Chad, if you want to convince people, hey, I can be in society and follow the rules. Guess what? Following the rules in prison is a great way to show you can abide by the fucking rules of society. When you can't do that, guess what happens? You fuck yourself. And why is this all important? Well, she appeared during a hearing. She, whoa, woo, 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 I'm crying. She blamed the documentary producer, saying, I trusted the wrong person. But she had also asked for cash and other compensation. And she also claimed that her misconduct in prison wasn't her fault. She said, I lost touch with reality when she put her kids in their car seats and let them drown in a lake in 1994. She says, I'm a Christian and know that God has forgiven me. Show me the same kind of mercy. Yeah, that's when people can dictate their own versions of Christianity. Isn't it interesting how they do that? Once again, a lot of that going around, huh? But I do think it's interesting more importantly, this is the criteria for parole consideration. And I'll bring this up when we watch the video later. But I do think this is important. Yeah, Susan's husband wanted the death penalty. Yep. No coverage of the Vickers DVRO? No, not yet. I did have a chance to read up on that. Sorry, Nico. I saw it on the farms, but I didn't get it. I didn't get a chance to look at it. But anyways, this is their criteria for parole, and I think it's actually really good. If you guys have never seen this, not every state does this, but it's important. No, there's no right to be released on parole. It is strictly a matter of privilege or grace. The parole board has the absolute discretion to grant or deny a parole. As such, the publication of this criteria in no way creates an expectancy of release, nor does it bind them, but it helps to, among other things, consider their record before incarceration as well as during incarceration. It's important. Now, they also talk about, the confidentiality of your parole file is far-reaching. Inmates have no right to inspect the contents. If they think their file contains inaccuracies, you must notify the board of the error or inaccuracy. Inmates do have the right to enjoy the parole process, though. They have the right to appear. The inmate has a right to be represented by an attorney. And however, they have no right to have an attorney appointed if you can't afford one. And that's a thing. I've had people call me to ask me to have somebody be there for a parole hearing. And I'm like, okay, but it's going to cost you. And they don't realize you can't get appointed. So the board exercises absolute discretion to the limits allowed by state and federal law. So they want to look at things. And they will consider a lot of things here. Your risk to the community, the seriousness of the offense, the circumstances around it, and your attitude towards it, your prior criminal records, and your adjustment under previous supervision. So if you'd been on probation 5 or 6 times and you failed every time, well, that's not going to be helpful to show you can abide by the rules. Maybe you were given parole before. You fucked it up. The attitude towards your family, the victim, and authority in general. Are you okay with following rules? Or do you have ODD and say, you can't tell me what to do? Things they consider. How did you handle being in prison? Your progress in counseling, therapy, and other programs designed to encourage the inmate to improve themselves. Did you get an education? Did you do job training? Are you helping people read? Kind of like the Menendez brothers. They set up all kinds of stuff. The inmate's employment history, your job training skills, and your stability in the workplace, your physical and mental health, your understanding of the cause of their past criminal conduct. I mean, as I said, your ability to solve your problems, seeking treatment, enrolling in academic or VOED courses, and using whatever resources are available to help other inmates. What are you doing? Are you making the most of your time? The adequacy of your overall parole plan, because you have to show, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? Who am I going to live with? What are my plans? Living arrangements, where they'll live, who we will live with. The character of the people you live with. Are you going to live with people who are junkies and assholes? Well, or are you going to live with other parolees and criminal people? What are you doing? Where are you going to work? What are you going to do in your time off? Your plans for gainful employment. Does the community want you back? Does your family want you back? Does the judge on your case, the prosecutor, and the cops want you back? Does the victim's family and any witnesses want you back? I mean, there's a lot of consideration here. So this is actually a very interesting thing that they released, and I think it's helpful so you understand. Jeez. So it is interesting. She, didn't get that, and good for her. She didn't deserve it. Real quick here. Pixie Fire says this happened 20 minutes down the road from me. I remember when it happened. Oof. And Old Ryan Red said they did a reenactment of what it must have been like for the kids in the car. It still haunts me. Oh, I can only imagine. Like, cars sink, but they take forever to fill up with water. Imagine being stuck in a car seat, and like, they were old enough to talk. I think one of them was, at least. And the water's coming up, and you might not realize what's going on, but it's dark. Can't see shit, and the water's coming up. The water's coming up. You can't go anywhere. I mean, how fucking creepy would that have been? Makes your hair on your neck stand up. Okay, so with that said, guys, we're all caught up. We're gonna do super chats real quick, and we're gonna go here. So, Unhung Hero for $2 says Nick loves the big bull beans. I mean, it kind of seems like it. Joe Schmo over on Rumble says volume like time is money when it comes to Coombe. And then you also asked, what year was this Susan Smith crime? 1994. K-Vibes, a new member. Thank you for the support, man. I appreciate it. Diamonds and Henna says, for smaller sticks, for Clyde. Well, thank you for $4.99. I appreciate it. And then Blueberries for $5 Australian dollar dues. Is it true that Cody Wilson of Defense Distributed says, is it true Cody retained the lawyer that represented the Phantom BJ twins chick? Yes, David Gingras. If it's true, it'll be funny. The dude is insane and can't shut up. Oh, yeah. There's a lot to talk about, and I talked with Matt. I think he will be available tomorrow night for us to cover it. I think it'll be fun because we're probably going to do 2 shows tomorrow night. But yes, it should be a lot of fun. There's a lot of law stuff in this counterclaim they filed. And Nico's been a member for 12 months, says this appeal was a long shot and none of this helped. Very much true. Very much true. Jose and Cool Boy, I already read yours. Both thank you again, Jose. Thank you again. And Cool Boy, thank you again as well. Robert Lawrence gifted 5 memberships. 5. Thank you for the support and the generosity. And Paul Myra's like, they're going to tag team it. They dropped 5 more. We're praying the gray away, chat. Praying the gray away. Help me pray the gray away. Your donations help us pray harder and harder, chat, to pray the gray away. Deus Vult, chat. God wills it. God wills it. Jose, we had covered this one already. Again, thank you. Royston, yeah, we already got to this one too. Jose says for $5, in before the Baldo washers crashed the hearing on purpose to felt you. I mean, okay, I guess, oh boy, it doesn't change the fact of what happens. So, Spunget says, have I seen the Jaguar advert? Yes, it looks retarded. Sigrun, yeah, we covered this one too. The lights flickering at the best moments. Yeah, thank God it stopped. Doesn't make me worried. Assholes React. We did this one too, I think. Actually, hold on. For $5, I think if we did, I don't know. I forget. You forget Tricky Nick didn't do it. It's all a government conspiracy. If the nose don't fit, you must acquit. Well, I have a feeling the nose fits. Or he's saying if all the cocaine can't fit up the nose, it must acquit. Maybe they'll be like the OJ moment. They'll make Nick put on the Baldo in court. They'll be like, sir, please put it on. Thank you, by the way, thank you for the super chat. Gemma's been a member for 2 months. Thank you. Says, can you please explain what Kiwi Farms is? A group? No, Kiwi Farms is a website. That's the name of the website, Kiwi Farms. And it's basically kind of like, it's a website where information is curated about people who they find interesting, and it's people involved in drama and stupidity. And then other people's interests as well. Jefferson, we covered this one too. Yes, thank you. Thank you as well. Sika Lother for $5 Singapore dollars. $5 Singapore dollars. Says, if I were to cover the M. Holt leaks or the Ralph leaks following Ralph showing his Tiberius 40 password, will I suffer legal liabilities? I can't encourage you to, as an officer of the court, I can't encourage you to commit what I think might be crimes. Certainly, I think they're very unethical. So, no, I wouldn't recommend you do any of that. And yeah, okay, we're going to move on. We're going to move on from there. And unbrass the deplorable, I think that's actually a fair way to call it too. Kiwi Farms is a gossip forum that's pretty fucking accurate. So, yeah, it's like 4chan without, but I remember like 4chan back in the day. 4chan 20 years ago was a different 4chan. So, yeah, don't do that. And like I said, guys, the whole thing with Ralph, I still think is bullshit. He should have been, I still think he's entitled. I don't think the court has the authority to do that. I don't think they should be able to do that to him, but I still think it's a bullshit. LOL for $4.99 says, what odds do you give to Minnesota DAs attorney a search warrant for Nick's data devices in connection with the alleged hacking variant if they haven't already? Pretty fucking good. Pretty fucking good. I mean, they're going to subpoena they don't need search warrants for a lot of it. They can just subpoena it. They can file a subpoena with Discord. They can file a subpoena with Google. I mean, there's a lot of information they'll probably be able to get without a search warrant. And even if they did need a search warrant, I'm betting the judges would grant it given the situation here. Because once again, Nick fucking around with Aaron and doing all this gives them a lot of context to develop probable cause. And Jose again says, Suffolk, Buckbroken County. Yes. Jose Rodriguez says for $5, reminds me of the 2000 election. The post-decision analysis showed the Florida recount would have helped Bush over Gore. Yes, it's true, ultimately. But at the time, we didn't know. And if you guys, I've mentioned this before, part of the reason why Florida and Ohio are so good at elections now is because of 2000. While Florida really got all the embarrassment for the hanging chads and everything, Ohio really fucked up bad and was a laughing stock about it too. And Ohio got really embarrassed, and we were like, we don't want to be seen as chumps again, so we fixed it. And that's why Ohio gets his election done. And it's been that way since. Jose Rodriguez says, we United States of Florida now. Yes, instead of Camelot, we have the Florida trailer park. The White House is full of Florida men. Oh. President-elect Phil Swift for $4.99 is saying, Brooklyn Dad Defiant, he's one of the Democrat hacks on Twitter, and JoJo is another Democrat hack on Twitter, keeps saying the cabinet is a Klan rally. These people can't stop seething. Also, why do I follow JoJo for A-logging? Yes. It's fun as fuck to fuck with her. They must suffer. They're scum. They're communist. They must suffer every day for them. Their existence must be pain. Just like Mr. Meeseeks, except they don't help people. Although you wish they were like Mr. Meeseeks because they would go away at some point, but they don't. Sadly. Yeah, the JoJo from Jurors chick. Yes, the lady who has 85 filters on every time she puts a video out. Yes, she's a political hack who also simps on a Patreon. It's fucking hilarious. Jojo and Dad need to take helicopter rides. Don't threaten me with a good time, chat. Don't threaten me with a good time. Please don't. All right, chat. Well, I think that is it for tonight. It's 12:30. 3 hours. We got done in 3 hours. I'm actually impressed with ourselves. We got done. I've been trying to keep them under 3 hours, chat. So if you guys are new, don't panic. This is not normally how I operate. We try to go slower. We don't try to get too boku. It just, when you get too boku, it just doesn't end well. So are you telling us I don't use filters? No. No Clyde? No, Clyde is snuggled up at 2.0. He went out in the snow and it's all cold. Let me see if he'll come in here. Hold on. Clyde! Clyde! Come here, Bubba. Come here. He's just standing at the door like, what do you want, fat man? What do you, huh? Come here, buddy. Come here. He's just like, I'm wet and cold. I try to shake the trees. Nothing's going to happen. Here, come here, Clyde. What? Don't give him any more? Oh, did you give him a bunch? Why? Is he getting stressed out from the snow? I mean, like, yes, anytime the rain starts falling hard, he thinks it's like a thunderstorm. And then if there's wind, he really panics. But, like, it's just snowing. I can't imagine why that's freaking him out. But, yeah, he looks a little high. I don't know if he's going to come in here. Okay, bye, buddy. You guys will see him on Locals. He wants drugs and peen, yeah. I thought Clyde was hitting the slopes. No, he just gets these bad boys. Once again, Chad, if you've never seen them, Nature Vet, hemp treats, dogs. Fucking Lainey and Clyde love these things. They are good. So, what's this dog treat that Xanax you give? I would not give a dog Xanny bars. Those are for people. Ruger Steve says we have snow here in Alberta. Yeah, I saw that. It looks like Runkle bagged a decent sized deer today. I saw that on Twitter. Looks pretty fucking gnarly. Thoughts on the allegations that Worski slept with black hookers with PPP saying "whoa, buddy" in the background? It sounds so fucking retarded. It makes like it just sounds like it sounds like it's completely like imagined off AI. I don't know. It sounds like bullshit to me. Who knows? Although with the sector, it could also be 100% true, but I truly doubt it. I truly doubt it. Buddy, hey, Clyde. No, he's not coming in. So we're all set for tonight, chat. That is it for us. Tomorrow night, we are going to do an election show, and we are going to have Fudbusters on. We're going to go through the complaint. It's fucking hilarious. Over the weekend, we're going to look into Susan Smith's parole hearing. And yeah, that's kind of it for right now. We got a lot coming up. Nick's hearing is on Tuesday, and we got Thanksgiving. Get you some turkey coming up, chat. Godwinson never lies. Okay. Yes. Anyways, chat, that is it. Please, guys, if you're new, please like and subscribe. I would appreciate it. We do this every Thursday night at 9:30 Eastern time, and we will have more coverage of the RQ, the Rekieta question, next Thursday. So remember, chat, until next time, just because you did it does not mean you're guilty. Although if you're Susan Smith, you're guilty. If you're Jose Ibarra, you're really fucking guilty, and I hope you burn in hell for what you did to Laken Riley. And, I still think Nick's going to get toasted if he goes to trial, but we'll see. Daniel Penny, not guilty. Good luck, man. Hope you crush it. And the YSL guys, I hope you fucking crush it too. So there we go. We got people good and bad there, chat. So good night, everybody. I'll see you guys over on Locals. Take care.
Weapons, blacksmithing, and models of planes, esoteric works, and even some trains. Much merriment had while drinking White Claws, tips on hunting, and even talking the law. Whatever you do, just don't talk to cops, even when they nab you on illegal stops. Just cause you did it doesn't mean you're guilty. But please talk to a local attorney. Was that the fat guy Rekieta yelled at? Why, yes, it was.
I didn't make it. Nico, if you're out there, Nico, apparently take notes. I didn't do this. Do I look like I know how to fucking make the AI songs? Holy shit, it's hard enough to make AI pictures, man. No, I did not do this. And I don't know how to fix it. So, suffer, I guess, in the meantime.
He even knows he's fat.